I will be muting.
Good evening, everyone. And for those who came in late, you've joined us for a special event from Expand the Phantom podcast and Chronicle Chamber to raise funds for Unicef. It's a fantastic cause raising money for needy children all around the world. I'm your host for this evening, Duncan Munro, and I'm ably supported by the Expand team in the background, Jermaine Parker, Dan Fraser, and Stephen East, who most of you know very well. So welcome, gentlemen. The cause tonight. So we've got a special evening in store for those fortunate enough to be joining us live. And for those playing this back later via Expand's podcast or YouTube channels, you're in for a treat. But we'll introduce our talented guests and just a quick word about why we are here this evening first. So UNICEF, which stands for United Nations International Children's Fund, works with partners around the world to promote policies and expand access to services that protect all disadvantaged children, working in over 150 countries and territories worldwide, focusing on child protection, survival, and education. Further information on the programs funded by your donations tonight, or to learn how you can contribute, go to unicef.org.au or call 1300 884 233. And our Chronicle Chamber will put that in the post when they launch this podcast public. UNICEF's motto is for every child. And it is in that spirit that our guests this evening have agreed to donate their time and their significant talent. It's certainly a cause befitting the Phantom and a worthwhile beneficiary of this evening's event. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guests who've been generous enough to throw their time and talent behind this worthwhile cause and provide an evening of entertainment for all of us. And our first guest is Camillo di Pietrantonio, a Sydney-based artist who many fans will know from his appearances at the Australian convention circuit. Camillo has also worked on the indie comic Killaroo with Darren Close, IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin series, variant covers for TMNT issue 100, In Purgatory, Primordial, and Cult of Dracula. He's done album art for Dimitri Vegas, and his popular samples of his varied work in Camillo's sketchbook and inkbook have been available through his convention appearances. But fans at this event and on the podcast would know Camillo best from his fandom pinups. In several fandom issues, most notably the Femme Fatale issue, which was issue 1813 from Frew. I now welcome to the sketch session, Camillo.
Hi, everybody.
How's the week been? You've been enjoying yourself?
Yeah, man, it's been pretty good.
Thank you very much for giving your time tonight. We've had a bit of a sneak preview of the things you've been thinking in your head and turning the Phantom into a bit of reality for some of the people here. Thank you very much for making yourself available, and we're really looking forward to it.
My pleasure.
The next guest I'm going to introduce is Daniel Picciotto, who's another Sydney-based and self-taught creator. He's got a history in commercial work, including his input on Ready for This. Daniel Picciotto is fast becoming a fan favourite with back-to-back cover of the year titles for his Frew Phantom covers. Cutting his teeth on creator-owned title Mercer with Gary Skarka, which is available on Comixology/Amazon, and contributions to the Scamthology, Proof 18 and Low 16 from Image Comics. Frew editor Glenn Ford spied Daniel's work through the convention circuit and fan referrals. And to our benefit, Daniel's agreed to join the Frew stable of Aussie creators, and we're likely to see some more coming up from him in the near future. With 3 covers for Frew, soon to be 4, Chronicle Chamber exclusive, 1 short story featuring his sequential work that's been published, and 8 short stories in progress. Contributions to a folio series. He's known for his stunning cover for the Treasures of Drakon board game, the accompanying trade paperback, the most recent trading card series, and a bookmark. So there's no shortage of things for fans to get signed if they happen to see Daniel at an appearance. Daniel Picciotto, welcome to the sketch sessions.
Thanks, Duncan. That was a mouthful. Thanks for the nice intro, and nice to meet you all, gentlemen.
And for those
a good session.
And for those of you who aren't familiar, the image that's there behind Daniel is the one that won cover of the year for last year, I think. Cover of the trade paperback and the board game. And I think the owner of that piece might actually be in the audience this evening. The final guest that we've got is just proof that the Sydney Water has something added to it that produces superhuman artistic talent. Our third guest this evening is a fan favourite and the only contributor tonight to have published Phantom covers for 3 different international publishers. So tonight we welcome Jamie Johnson. Jamie has a history of donating his talent in support of charitable causes, with his art appearing in Australia Burns, the Chronicle Chamber Bushfire book in 2020, and variant covers for IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 100, Cult of Dracula for Source Point Press, the acclaimed Aussie indie series Killaroo with Darren Close, the Old Man Rufus variant cover. Phantom fans will know Jamie's work on Phantom covers for Frew, Hermes, and Lightning Strikes. And like Daniel, he provided a trading card for the recent gallery series, has a bookmark, several prints, including a triptych and diptych set, and alongside fellow Frew stablemate Paul Mason, contributed a significant amount of production art to the Phantom Treasures of Drakon board game for Frew games. Jamie runs a comic art workshop in the Hills district of Sydney, passing on his skills to the new generation of aspiring artists. So if you know someone in that area, send them that way for some fantastic guidance and direction on creativity. And he's taken the night away from the chalkboard to take us to school. Please welcome Jamie Johnson. Jamie.
Hey Duncan, how are you, mate?
Dude, thank you for making your time available. You've peeled yourself away for the Goosebump books for this evening to entertain us. And we all appreciate that. As we kick off, I might just get you guys just familiarize people with the screen. It should have the names at the bottom with your details on it. And Camillo too has his light board there with some rough layouts of where he's going to start from. Pitchy's, we're looking at that from the left-hand side, I think. So from behind, he's changed it. So we were looking right over the top of his head with the bird's eye view of his work on there. And Jamie Johnson should be on there. Someone's pushed him out of the way when they joined the room with his welded thing. We're looking at him from right above as well. So without further ado, guys, we're just going to launch into some talking while you guys work away. And anyone in the audience, please feel free to ask any questions that you want. And I'll monitor the chat for that. So, and all the artists this evening have traditionally competed at some of the live conventions that many of you have seen around Australia in the Young Buck Battle, where they'll do a live sketch off for over an hour, and people in the audience can get the opportunity to win those sketches. It's a bit of a continuing challenge across the three contributors this evening. So we're seeing that being stepped up by them all cheating and doing quite detailed layouts before they came in. Their cheating is to the benefit of all of us. We just had Alex Tripp join in and say hello to everyone. So we've got a fellow artist watching on with a critical eye and an encouraging smile. So the guy's cheating and slipping ahead and getting some of those layouts a little bit more detailed than you might have been expecting. He's only going to benefit.
Hey, Duncan.
Yes, mate.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I should say I was going to draw on the night. That was my original plan, yeah. But I think the guys wanted to really give a treat for you guys as well. So they did a full, Jamie put together a full body A3 piece. So then Camillo came with his as well, and I've got mine now in front of me. So hopefully for you guys taking your time out of your night and contributing the money to a good cause, I think, we could do a little bit more than we were gonna.
And I was just about to say, it is to the benefit of the people that win. So everyone that is watching is now watching even more eagerly than they were going to be if you'd started from scratch, because it isn't. I've seen all three of these artists work, and it is a tremendous amount of work and effort that they put in, and it's only going to be magic that's unfolding before us tonight. So we've got Tom asking a question in the chat for what medium will the artist be using? Jamie?
So basically the way I structured it, I did a digital layout, printed it out very faintly on this board, just so I have basically we can do it live, but it just messes around. We want to kind of get straight into it. My main tools are a brush pen, these micron or multi-liners, and Copic markers. I may, if I have time, throw some airbrush into it. but we'll see kind of how we're doing towards the end.
Camillo?
Yeah, I've done similar thing to Jamie. I started off with a digital layout, and I printed that off and laid it on my white box. And I'm going to be just using ink pens on a A3 board. If I get time, maybe some Copic markers.
Excellent. And Daniel?
Yeah, I did the same. I did a digital layout. It's how I normally work these days, just make it quicker and easier, and I can do it anywhere I go. So I did a digital layout, and I normally print it and ink it traditionally using different tools. I use mostly Copic multiliners. I've got some Microns, Copic multiliners, and I usually use some brush pens as well sometimes.
And Picci, how does that go with your preference to play around digitally? So you got a bit of flexibility to work on the image and the layout and the composition when you are asked to do a live commission at a show. Do you still have that way to get around that, or are you just starting from your brain and a piece of paper?
Yeah, exactly. Just go through your brain. I don't know if you guys are familiar with using the iPad and Procreate, but you can double tap to undo. And sometimes I find myself doing that to paper and it doesn't work. But yeah, that's probably the only thing I do at the conventions that's wrong. But otherwise, I just do it straight out of the head.
We'll all keep our eyes out next time we're watching your sketch live to see you do that, and we'll watch you at the blackjack table. Bradley's asked a question in the chat, how long is the session going for? We've left it open-ended, and the artists are our prisoner until we release them. We've given them a rough time frame of about 60 to 90 minutes, depending on how far they go. With the size of the piece they're doing, most of the artists are working in A3 and a couple of different layers, so a couple of different mediums. And Camillo's just sneakily thrown down the ink wash or the Copic challenge to the others too. So we'll see how that gets responded to. Maybe 1 to 2 hours by the time we're finished. So hopefully that's answered Tom's question in there. So we've seen, Camillo, you've done some work for Nickelodeon.
Yep.
What can you tell us about, where can people see more of your work from there?
Nickelodeon, they hit me up twice for some work. The first time was they just took a bunch of my fan art. So they paid me for a bunch of fan art, and that was meant to be used on some sort of TV special, some sort of Ninja Turtle TV special. And it was my art was going to be used to decorate the set.
Oh, wow. I don't know
if the TV special ever came out, or if it's due to come out, or what, but so I wouldn't know where people would see that. But I also did some Valentine's Day artwork for them last year. So that's floating around on their social media. So if you go to like the TMNT official Instagram and Facebook and stuff, you'll see like some Valentine's Day art if you go all the way down to Valentine's Day last year.
Nothing says be mine like some Raphael through the ages, for the sound of it.
Right.
I didn't know you did that. That's fantastic. And so it was supposed to, the Nickelodeon stuff was supposed to be set dressing for a TV show. Is that right? Like a kids entertainment show or a game show or something?
Like some Ninja Turtle special.
Oh, fair income.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. I'd be interested to check that out. So for the online detectives in the group, next time you head into a lockdown, you're looking for something to do. If there's a finder's fee for finding Camillo's art out in the wild.
I don't know if they've done it yet. I don't know if it got postponed because of COVID, or if it just got like they never went ahead with it. But that's what I was told it was going to be for.
And it's the US channels that one of the streaming services or one of the and so or Nickelodeon, so cable channel. And has the check come?
The check's come.
That's good. So you'll know if it gets used because the residual check will come.
Maybe, I don't know about that. I didn't read the fine detail properly, but I mean they own the rights for that artwork for everything now, so you might see it pop up somewhere else. You know, it might be on like toy packaging or something. I'm not sure. And
you said they took your fan art. So was that from your sketchbook that we've seen at the conventions?
It would have been on some of it may have been in my sketchbook. I can't remember. but most of it was from my social media.
And they just contacted you out of the blue and just said,
Yeah.
I'm looking for you. Uncle Sam came and asked for it. That's fantastic. And that's great that they're reaching out far and wide for the Aussie talents getting caught in their net. That's fascinating. I'm going to throw across to Jamie quickly. A lot of the people in the group here will also will be familiar with Daniel's backdrop because they've got the Phantom Treasures of Dracon game in their collection. And they followed through that process with the Aussie creators that developed it, the game designers that worked in with Frew Games. And you and Paul Mason broke your back. Daniel swept away with all the attention for making the box cover, and you and Paul slaved away for months creating the board art and designing some of those pieces.
Yeah.
Did it equip you any better to explain the gameplay to me?
I've still never played the game.
It is quite challenging. I've filmed the Chronicle Chamber team attempting to play the game. It didn't quite end up in fisticuffs, but I think it might have come close if we weren't in a public place. But I was hoping that you'd have some inside knowledge of us, and you've secretly slipped some extra hints into your artwork, because it's not the case.
Mate, I actually was working through an injury in that one, so I apologize for the quality of the artwork. I just had to push through, and for many people that were waiting for commissions afterwards, it was because of that I couldn't draw for like 6 months.
And you're all recovered now?
All recovered.
So your inbox is going to be inundated after this.
Yeah.
Commission requests now that they know that. And how much freedom did you get designing those pieces?
Look, it was all scripted, but basically it was just open to interpretation, similar to how, for instance, how you and Pitchy would work. So it's just by panel. So rather than do it sequentially, it was usually like 3 panels or individual actions, I think it was. And they were pretty good. I don't think there were many notes. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 that they wanted to kind of change the angle on, but everything I sent through, I did very rough, like digitally, before I kind of dove in. I didn't want to draw the whole thing and then have to redo it. So they were pretty I was dealing mostly with Dale and Alex when it came to the nitty-gritty of it. So yeah, it was good.
It sounds like a lot of work. Was the injury, at the risk of getting a compensation claim against Frew Games, was the injury as a result of the work you were doing?
It's an old injury and it flared up, and unfortunately, just with the timelines the way they were, I just had to push through. So, and even after all that, it ended up getting delayed in China anyway. So I think it wouldn't have mattered if I had run a bit late, but it's all good. We made it in the end.
It's a fantastic. The game looks amazing. There's a display piece in the collection. All jokes aside, it is beautifully put together. The guys have done a fantastic job, and both Daniel and your art in that has been commented on by a lot of fans. For those who don't know the game, there's story cards that have 3 or 4 panels that are supposed to resemble like the old daily strips from the KFS strip. And they're done in the style of Paul Ryan's Phantom art and Jamie's distinctive style. Jamie, did you get a script for each of those things? Or were they quite prescriptive? Or was it you saying?
Yeah, look, it was when it was like a difficult composition, they would sort of put reference down, just like different points of reference. So there was like a volcano erupting, or when they were pillaging, or they might give, the vibe might be Indiana Jones when it's like, the hidden wall and things like that. So these cool little throwbacks that when I'm drawing it, I actually have maybe Indiana Jones in the background playing and stuff like that, just to kind of keep me in that, that mood. But yeah, it was pretty detailed. Like when you read it, and you would know this as a writer, you want to kind of give as much information so there's just nothing left for interpretation. It kind of goes, this is what's in my head, this is the most I can describe it, and then hopefully the artist picks up what the writer's putting down. So yeah,
that's fantastic. And because it was a long time, it was a journey that everyone went on with you, watching that game develop, and it was amazing to see the support that it got. One of the things that got it over I don't think it was a stretch goal. I think it was actually originally getting it over the line to get the game funded, was when they released an image of the cover art for the box. Daniel, what came first, the trade paperback cover or the game cover, the game box cover?
It was actually the board game.
And
I was sorry.
And the same question, like how much guidance did you give on? Were you given free reign to design that cover, that box cover?
Glenn's been easy to work with in that sense. He just emailed me and says, "Hey, we want to do a board game. These are the dimensions." So he showed me because obviously it's a little bit bigger size than a normal standard 11 by 17 cover that you would do for comics. He gave me the dimensions. He said he gave me some of the comics that were going to be inside of it. And he goes, add like the Princess Sin and that whole storyline, go through that, and pick your cover out of it. So that's all he said. I'm like, okay. So I actually I like to provide multiple layouts normally. So I normally provide up to maybe about 5 different layouts. My original one was actually similar pose, but the background was Egypt. So I had the pyramids and all those kind of things in the background. And Princess Sin's knife, yeah, that one was actually a cigarette.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then Glenn was like, no. Maybe take out the cigarette. Keep it on the play this game.
Are smoking that is hazardous to your health. And so there wasn't much of a to and fro on the approval process, just some minor editing, but you had 2 distinct pieces that you were working through.
Yeah, I've approximately the 5 covers that I showed him. He pointed to the one that I like and said, the one he likes, and said, I like that one, change the background. And he like make it the more the village kind of vibe.
Yep.
And then I drew the background, sent it back to him, and he approved it straight away. So. And
at that point, where you had the 5 layouts, was that a digital process that you were showing him?
It was, yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
oh, good.
Yeah. I've got a video of how, if anyone ever wants to see it, I can show you like a time-lapse video of the digital layouts coming together.
Oh, wow. And that's through the layers on Cintiq?
Yeah, I do it all on the iPad.
Yeah, wow.
On the iPad Pro, yeah.
And did you know that the box was going to be available with the Phantom in 3 different distinctive colours of his costume?
No, I didn't know.
Oh. And so
I actually found that out when I opened the box.
Really? Who did your colouring for that? Was it you?
No, it was actually another Aussie. His name is Alex Salazzo. He has been published by DC on Green Lanterns and and he did some image work as well from, I think it was called Morning Glories. He's a brilliant colorist and he was my go-to, but now he's doing game design, so he's kind of given up the comic books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's our loss. That is an incredibly striking cover. I've seen it on your backdrop. Julie Dietrich, whose work appears in that trade paperback, it's on her backdrop. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants to be associated with that image. So just be very proud of it. You set the bar very high for yourself because I think that was the first cover you did for the Phantom fans, but you'd done a print before with Catman. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So my first work was redesigning Catman and doing a folio piece, so an A3 folio piece. I was only cutting my teeth on the Phantom, so he's changed throughout the times that I've been drawing him, and he still continues to evolve. I'm trying to add my style, but be loyal to Lee Falk and the original artist. So I'm going backwards in time and adding that flavor to my work, as you will see soon with your pages, Duncan.
Well,
and they continue to evolve.
I've been fortunate in that as one of your biggest fans, I've been getting to see your process work through some of the stories that we've developed together. And I love how your Phantom has evolved. And my personal view, I've talked to a few fans and collectors about your work because it is distinctive. And I think it's very, and I wanted to chat if anyone wants to offer up their side on Pitchy's take on the Phantom, but I think it's quite Raymore inspired, because it's when the Phantom was quite lithe and he wasn't hugely muscular, but of the period he was like a swimmer's build. And I think that comes across in your art, and in your sequentials you nail his movement, and that was something I've always been a fan of with size work on the Phantom, is that he captures this moment of action that almost makes you feel like the image is moving. You've caught him in a moment of action, and your pieces do that, and you've made him move like a cat. But thank you. And Tom in the chat is admitting that his game is still in the plastic, so we're not going to go to Tom for tips on how to play it. And Bradley's admitted that he still hasn't played the game yet either. Someone's asked who won the Chronicle Chamber gameplay off at Supanova, and I think that's Germ. You were there. You were in the thing. Was it you? I think it might have been Dan. And I think it might have been an umpire call, because it was like children fighting over the last Smartic.
No, it was me. I won it. I just wanted everyone to know that I played it and won it.
I was trying to figure out a way to keep you muted to see if I could get you enraged in the corner as a bit of side entertainment. I'm quickly going to go around and have a look at the sketches as they're developing. So Pitchy's gone for the old pistol raised in the air, which I'm liking. And we've got an upshot of our hero, which I like. And I've seen a similar image in one of our stories, which I found very powerful. And that's looking like that piece is developing that way. Camillo is silently working away up there, but very patiently working with that light box and getting that layout more. Now, I think from memory from seeing the layouts, there's a weapon in the Phantom's hand there. It's like a spear or a trident or something like that.
Actually a flag.
Flag, that's it. That's right. And yeah, I'm really liking how you got the leg raised up there. And Jamie's blown me away, and I don't know at what point I reveal to the group that I've secretly bought all the tickets for this evening to try and make sure I get the pieces. But those who know me know I love the Phantom when he's diving under the water. I like that combination of him scuba diving, and Jamie looks like he's capturing that tremendously with his layout. So I'm interested to see where that goes, and very jealous of whoever ends up with that piece, because it's really cooking along nicely. Alex has asked if everyone's going to Sydney Supanova. Camillo?
Yeah, I'll be there.
I think we're all guests, aren't we?
Well, I haven't been announced yet, but I think so, yeah.
I just jumped the gun. I just announced all of them. I can't wait for them. They wait too last minute.
Yeah, I'll be there as well as a guest.
We had someone asking a question, I think. And what are you looking forward
Sorry, Duncan, you cut out. Was that a question?
Did we lose Duncan? Nope, I think he's frozen.
Camillo's frozen. I'm going to throw us to Jamie. I believe you've been announced as one of the guests for Supanova in Sydney.
Well, I announced it.
It's been made official. It's now been endorsed by Chronicle Chamber in the studio sessions. Yeah. And this weekend, you've got a convention coming up. Is that right?
Yeah, Oz Comic Con Adelaide. I've actually never been to Adelaide. Adelaide and Perth are two new markets I haven't actually been to, which I'm excited to do. So this month is Adelaide and next month is Perth. So it's going to be a busy couple of months. We've got Adelaide Oz Comic Con this weekend. Then it's 2 weekends off. And then it's Melbourne Oz Comic Con, Sydney Supanova, and then Perth Supanova.
So you're just staying inside the house, a complete hermit. We're not going to be able to find you anywhere. You're busily catching up on those commissions that you still haven't done since you did the Dracon board game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to just remind everyone that you can throw comments in the chat. I will get to it. If I'm in the middle of getting one of the artists to answer a question, I will come back as much as possible. And you can put little, tokens of appreciation on the guests' little squares if you want. If you right click on there, you can show little emoticons and things like that. Like Someone's just given a bit of a clap there. So thank you for doing that. And Pitchy, I think it's fair to announce that you're going to be at Sydney Supanova as a guest.
Yep.
And for those in the group who know what it is, the Lee Falk Memorial Bengali Explorers Club is a Melbourne-based group that gathers with collectors from around Australia, around the region, and sometimes from around the world, aligned to similar to the Friends of the Phantom in the US and the Swedish Lee Falk Explorers Club, where fans get together, talk fandom, drink and talk more about fandom, and donate pieces from people's collections all around the world, and different contributors and creators from different places around the world that have been associated with the Phantom now or in the past. And most of those items are auctioned off to raise money for the Sydney Children's Hospital, which is another fantastic cause like the one you're all helping tonight by being here. And Daniel has been announced by Richard Fry, who's the organiser of that dinner, as this year's special guest. And it's the first time you've been to one of these dinners. Is that right, Daniel?
Yeah, that's right. I actually caught up with Richard on the weekend. He gave us, we caught up for lunch, and he explained what was going to happen throughout the night. And it seems like a really good cause to be a part of. Long history. I know it's the 33rd dinner. You told me some stories about you, Duncan.
None of them are true.
All good words, of course. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be great. Is anyone in this audience going to be there as well?
I think I'll keep watching the chat, but I think from most of the faces there, we might not see Swaroop, but you'll be there in spirit. And I think a lot of the Aussie-based guys have indicated their attendance on one of the forums or another. And I'm sure if you had Richard hit you up to do something for the evening or for do something on the evening?
Both.
Both.
So yeah, well, I have to put together a brand new piece for it that'll be auctioned off, and then I'm just going to do like a quick one for everyone to watch that night. Maybe on some butcher's paper or something.
is that a big ask for a free dinner?
Look, it's a good cause, and I'm, to be honest with you, I'm actually honored to be invited. I was surprised that I was invited, and there's a long list of distinguished people that have been there previously, so I'm happy just to be included.
It is amazing company, and the group that goes there, as one of the people who is a new addition to the people fortunate enough to attend that dinner, you will not find a room full of more amazing Phantom fans. It is a very collegiate atmosphere, and it's very welcoming to the returning people and newcomers. So you'll be made to feel very welcome on the night. And if you're not, I'll be there and I'll stand behind and make sure you're made to feel welcome, which is completely unnecessary. Everyone there is absolutely amazing. And Richard and Antonio that put so much effort into putting the night together and making sure it goes well, really add the polish to the evening and make it a really special occasion. Each one that I've been to has been unique, and being able to say that we're at the one where Daniel Picciotto was the guest is going to be something that we'll tell in the future. So thank you for putting your hand up for that as well. Like you're right, it is a good cause that money goes to the Children's Hospital. And it's quite an event for Richard to go after the dinner and present that check to them, which they're always very grateful for. Chronicle Chamber, for those of you watching or listening and don't know, have done some work behind the scenes and help create the Lee Falk or reinvigorate the Lee Falk Memorial Bengali Explorers Club website, which Jermaine can ensure gets put in the link when this gets released as a podcast. If you want to check out the 32 previous dinners and soon see what happens with the 33rd when Pitchy is trying to draw while we're throwing bread rolls at him. Bradley has asked, how do we get tickets to the Lee Falk Memorial Bengali Explorers Club dinner? That's an excellent question, and one that I had myself a few years ago when I found out about that dinner on Expand the Phantom podcast. So if you go to the lfmbec dot, I'm going to look for Jermaine to nod, org, you will see the information on the dinner and the contact details for how to get in touch with Richard and Antonio. If you get stuck, you can go to Chronicle Chamber's social media or Chronicle Chamber's website, and you'll see stories in there about the Lee Falk Memorial Bengali Explorers Club dinner every year. It is an amazing cause. It's a fantastic opportunity to meet Phantom fans that you've only ever heard of or seen online. And as Daniel said, a fantastic cause. I'm just going to go through some things in the chat. Paul M has asked, when getting requests for commissions, do you prefer to be provided a specific, I'm going to ask this to each of you, but I'm going to give you time to think. I'm going to ask Camillo first because I haven't talked to you for a while. When getting requests for commissions, do you prefer to be provided a specific concept idea, or do you like the freedom to just do whatever you want?
I much prefer the freedom, man. I always pump out my best work when the person who wants a commission just lets me do whatever I want and gives me completely free reign just to come up with something myself.
So what? Because I've as a person who asks for commissions, I'm always torn between deferring to the artist to know better what to do, but also not giving them a completely blank slate where I've given them no kind of idea of what I'm expecting. You don't care about that. You just want, I'll tell you what you're like.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah, I'll tell you what I like.
Right.
I mean, it's not as if it's not a problem if someone comes and says, oh, I'd like something in this, this sort of range, or like, along these lines. I think when it starts to become a bit detrimental is if they ask for something really, really specific.
Yep.
I want Phantom on the throne with his left hand on his right knee, and that's when it starts to become a bit constraint. It's a bit too many constraints for me.
To be fair, when I asked for that, I offered to pose for you for 3 hours in front of your commission table while you were sketching it. I thought that would help. I spoke to an artist at a convention in Canada once who was doing a commission, and he was kind of chuckling to himself while he was doing it. And I asked him, what's so funny? And it was that the woman, he was famous for doing a kids cartoon series that had these two animated dogs as secondary characters in the cartoon. And this, middle-aged woman had come to him at the convention with photos of her dogs and said, can you draw this character with my dogs in the background as in the style of the two background dogs of your TV show? So I think that's the example of where you're saying a little too specific.
Yeah.
Versus someone just coming up to you and going, can you draw Batman and make it cool?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's good to know that that you enjoy that freedom. To me, who has no artistic talent, it would be too much pressure to want to please the other person. So good on you that that you know that we can just trust you. And we've seen that from the pinups you've done of the Phantom, and you've done commissions for me and absolutely blown me away. So your style is good. Continue. Jamie, same question to you. So someone's coming up either online through your socials or at a live convention, when on the rare occasions where you do those, and you're getting requests for commission, and do you prefer someone to be specific for the concept idea or give you that freedom to
look, if for instance there's collectors that have a certain aesthetic that they stick to, or a theme. So there's sometimes it's like Phantom on the Throne or things like that. So I'm happy to keep it within that, but I do prefer the freedom, so we can kind of come up with the composition, and I guess even what materials we use too, because sometimes we're doing the same character and there's only so many poses you can do. And drawing the Phantom, we can ink it, we can use Copics, we can use ink wash, just kind of whatever what mood strikes. I think I prefer that kind of freedom. I'll usually run it by them. It's very collaborative because obviously they're giving you their hard-earned money, and you don't want to take the mickey. But yeah, I do prefer the freedom to kind of do my take on the Phantom, which is what I presume they kind of are wanting and paying for.
And what about someone coming to you with a reference to a previous work that you've done, or a previous piece that you've done? You always have a lot of prints up on your in your display at your booth. Yeah. If they're asking you to kind of do again what you've done before, does that make a difference to you?
No, that's fun. Like I like little homages, as it's been alluded to, and I've been asked to homage myself. Like I had to redo a Turtles cover in the Dimitri Vegas's Dino Warriors thing, and it was literally go take my characters and do what you did with that cover, and I'm like, cool, no worries. It's always a bit of fun, bit of a nod to the original. But yeah, it's fine, whatever they want. I'm pretty open, to be honest with you, but usually I say if someone wants something specific, tell me before the show, like lead into the show, because that way I can actually play around with it and do it, take the time at home, because they obviously have something in mind. It's a lot harder to execute at a show because you're being pulled every which way. You have panels and people want to talk to you while you're signing stuff. And so I would say if anyone wants anything specific, get us on the lead into the show. If you know I'm coming to your city, tell me 2 weeks out, not the day before.
Absolutely. And for Sydney, are you taking commission requests from people in advance?
Yeah, I'm only doing 3 commissions per show, like pre-commissions. I think I've got 2 left for Sydney.
Okay. And you're heading to Perth, so Jermaine will no doubt be ensuring he's ingratiating his access to you to make sure he can secure his mates those 3 prize positions. And Pitchy, free reign, or do you want to have? I know the answer to this because we've been working on a script. Do you want to be told what to draw, or do you want to have free reign to tell the story of the Pitchy yourself?
I'm interested now, Daco. What's the answer? In between, I think a little bit like Camillo said as well, with free reign, but also I like a theme. I like someone knowing what they're after. If someone says to me, "Hey, draw the Phantom on a pirate ship," but you can have free reign and play with that. That's probably the most exciting thing because I can draw whatever comes, like whatever image comes to my head. Whereas if they have a very specific thing, like, "Hey, draw my dogs with this pose," and it becomes too formulaic, and there's no real inspiration, creative wise there. And then also, I don't do like likenesses and things like that. So if someone says, "Hey, can you draw me as Superman?" that's all open to your interpretation. I can make it look like, I think it looks like you, but you may not think so. So I don't want to risk it. I prefer just to, I had a really cool one recently. Someone said, "Hey, can you draw Wolverine with like a Japanese background?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I did that. So that was pretty fun.
That came out great. I've seen that on you. I saw that on your I saw that on your socials. It was it really came out well. So it was a good mix of some guidance and giving you that freedom.
And yeah, funny story about that. Sorry, Jamie.
Oh no, someone just asked me a question. I said yes, it is a knife.
Oh. Funny story about that Wolverine though. So it was for a sketch cover the commission from Comic Con. And I was doing the sketch cover, and while I was doing that, I actually came out with a layout for the Wolverine that I really wanted to do, but I wanted to place a lot of detail to it. And I said to them, "Hey, like, look, can I do this as an 11 by 17 piece? I won't even charge you extra. I just really want to draw this." And they said, no, I want it as a sketch cover. So I did the sketch cover for them, but because it's such a small little A4 piece, like smaller, you can only fit so much detail on it. So I gave that drawing to them, and then I did my own drawing of Wolverine that I really wanted to get out. And you'll find that on my Instagram if you check it out.
Oh, fantastic. Jamie, someone was asking you about the knife. What are you doing with the knife? put it
I
down?
know, just there's like a little strap here, and it's just a little knife and his little like a hilt thing here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were using one of those techniques where you're roughing up the paper.
No.
Now, so Swaroop has been. I'll be there in spirit. Is he talking about the Lee Falk Memorial Bengali Explorers Club dinner? I'll be there from Swaroop. I'll be there in spirit as well, and have a few people getting together. You're getting a few people to get things signed for you. That old chestnut. Excellent work. We'll make sure that that gets sorted. If you get stuck, there's plenty of people in this group that will be more than happy to help you out. Chronicle Chambers provided the link to the LFMBEC website that they've helped create, so you can go back there and see the past dinners, and it'll have information on how to get in touch with Richard and Antonio. But if you get stuck, go to the Chronicle Chamber website, because there's plenty of stories on there that also provide those links to make that contact. And as I said before, that's how I was able to join the people fortunate enough to attend that dinner. And Swoop has said, thanks, Chris. I'm also taking turns pinning the drawing windows one by one. Clearly, Swoop is not impressed enough by my smiling face to keep entertained, and my droning voice is enough to keep him posted, to keep him scrolling through those pictures. I'm sure there's plenty of screenshots getting taken with close-ups of those pinned pictures as we get the progress shots from everybody. Look forward to seeing those on everyone's social media tomorrow. Another also from Sarup, they must have been asked many times, but before we have 3 artists at work today, so here goes. And I'm going to read the question to everyone, and then I'll go around to you and just recap it again. So as cover artists, how do you guys go about conceptualizing a cover, especially when a book has multiple stories in it? What factors from the stories influence the cover concept? And Pidgey, you kind of talked about this with the trade cover, which had several stories in it, some classic Team Phantomen stories, and then the new one from Julie Dietrich. Did you read the whole book, have access to the whole book from Glenn, or just some concept images?
Just, I think, the Princess Stories issues in the back of it, I think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see Julie's story.
Oh,
yeah.
It's the other one. It's the Treasures You Con. It's the Jason Paulos story that was in it that was new.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned in there that you had 5 separate covers for that trade. If we looked at some of your other issues that we've seen come out from Frew, and if people have been paying attention, you dropped a hint to one that's coming out soon, I think in one of your descriptions. But there's been a mix with your other covers. Some have been stories that have got a mix of a new story in there with a new creator, and some classic Lee Falk Siberia stories. The Held to Account cover, where you kind of did it almost like a movie poster, where there's a composition and it included elements from both stories. Maybe to answer Swoop's question, how did you come by that composition?
Yeah, good question. So I actually, similar scenario, I was given the story beforehand, so I was able to read your story and then pick out the important characters, what was happening, what the key moments were. Obviously, when you're doing a cover, I'm the kind of cover artist that doesn't want to showcase what actually happens inside the book. I prefer to leave those kind of surprises to when you actually read it. It was a front and back cover, so I've been asked to do a lot of those wraparounds. Glenn wanted to make sure I got your story, and then there was another story in the back, right? So I needed to get both elements in there, and just looking at the cool action that was happening, I just got this James Bond vibe. So that's where I went for like a James Bond-esque like format. I actually did again a few layouts for that, and I did this really one that I actually really liked it. It was Phantom on one of those shipping ships with those containers, and he was on top of that with some guys with guns pointing up at him. And I thought it was a really cool image, but Glenn was like, let's just go for the other one. That became the cover. And I'm glad, because I think it turned out well. It was my first published cover from Frew, your held to account story. And yeah, I was pretty thankful for that. But yeah.
And it was an embarrassment of riches for Frew to be able to choose, because I saw those layouts for that cover, and they couldn't make a wrong decision. But I think the final result was remarkable. It's very cinematic, in my opinion. And the other story that was in there was one of my favorite classic Lee Falk Cyberic stories to me at their height, the Wharf Rats. And it was very much a stylized of the time. When I read it, I hear the smooth jazz music playing in the background on that ship that the bad guys are on. And you have incorporated staying true to the Phantom style, but covered Jeff Weigel as a current strip artist and the classic Cyberi elements, putting your own style on it. What was it like using Cy's work as a reference in terms of inspiration for what to put on that cover?
Yeah, it's I love Jeff Weigel's work. I have to say that I definitely think he's got a great Phantom style. In reading Cyberi's story, he's got a lot of character, right? So there's a lot of even though it's like a traditional, what is it, the 50s, 60s?
I think that one's the 50s.
Yeah, so it's an older style, but it's also really cool in that just the ink work, the brush work, the amount of character they can place into those strips, really is like timeless. So it's better than most work today. So just trying to capture the same character that he's placed into those stories, into the cover. That's what the goal was, anyway.
Well, success, because that was a fantastic cover, and as the fans have been voting for the last few years, something that's been popular with across a wide spectrum of fans. Camillo, you've done some pin-up stuff for the Phantom where you've kind of haven't been influenced by a story, you've had a bit of free reign, but a lot of your variant covers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Killaroo, that kind of work, is associated with a particular issue. Do you see those Image and IDW stories before you start?
Nah, the IDW stuff, they keep everything like you're not allowed to see any of the scripts or pages before they actually get published. But I had like a bit of an idea of what the book was going to be about. When I'm doing a cover, like I try to think of mostly what the fans would like to see. So, for example, those turtle covers I did, specifically the Last Ronin ones, especially issue 2. I tried to like sort of pay some fan service because I'm a huge fan as well. Like I just basically drew what I would like to see, and like maybe give a sort of a wink at like a past Ninja Turtle moment that was iconic. So yeah, that's what I try to keep in mind. I try to keep in mind what the fans would want to buy, basically what they want to own and like keep and collect. So yeah, with the Phantom stuff, I haven't been as lucky because I haven't really done a cover. I've done a back cover which was like a sort of a happy accident. It was meant to be just a sample to show Glenn that I could draw the Phantom, and then he used it. He had a free page and he used it. And then we done the bushfire piece, and it's more about, I guess I tried to think about staying true, like, showing some sort of personality of the character, so I try to, in some way, give that like little bit of, characterization to him in what he's doing, but I haven't been as lucky to be given a story and actually go and do a cover for it,
I'm sure it's only a matter of time, but if you got the chance to choose, you've seen a bit of traditional Phantom art, which goes back 80 years, and you've seen some of the more modern stuff for some different interpretations of the character. Which would you prefer to be able to get to work on? Putting your style on an older classic story, or a new one?
Well, to be honest, I love seeing, like, you know, Pidgey's covers and Jamie's covers and seeing what they do with them. I'd like to challenge myself and, you know, really like make a cool layout with you know, sort of like they look like movie posters with like trying retelling the story in one big piece. I'd like to challenge myself with that. It's something that I haven't done before. But yeah, that's probably what I'd lean towards doing.
And it must have been a thrill for you to be able to put your talent and your creativity towards IP that you were a fan of growing up, like Ninja Turtles. TMNT kind of went away and came back again. What did you feel like as a fan when it started to get a resurgence with another generation?
I mean, I don't really think it went away and came back. Sort of like the Phantom fans think that he hasn't gone away and come back or gone away or anything. When you're a fan, like, they're always around. I think like every generation has a interpretation of the Turtles that they love, you know. And mine one's from the 90s, and seeing like the Last Ronin series come back, which is like a continuation of what I grew up on, that was cool. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And that cover was really well put together. You did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Jamie, as probably the artist that we've had here that was we've seen the most variation in Phantom covers from, Sarip's question was about how do you go about conceptualizing the cover, especially when it's a book with multiple stories, which you've had, and you've had quite a few with single issues as well, and you've had you were the first one to do the interconnecting covers for Frew, and you did one with 3 and then one with 2 joining up together. What factors from the stories influence those cover concepts? Oh, amazing.
It's weird. I feel like I'm a bit pigeonholed with the style. So I obviously made no secret that I was always influenced by like image, you know, style and like the Jim Lee and that sort of kind of dynamic art. And I feel like the Scandinavian stories lend to my style more. And I think I've only ever really done mostly Scandinavian stories. So when I get them, they're all just pictures because I can't read Norwegian or Finnish or whatever, whatever we're looking at, Swedish. Yeah, so what I tend to do is you got to think like cinematically. You've got seconds to kind of capture the reader's attention. Like, and if you're going up on a wall with Marvel and DC and things like that, I'd like to think that our covers can kind of hold up against that, or at least try to, because it's, you know, we're at a lower price point, so that's one advantage we have for the Phantom comics. But you've got some, you know, really classic styles like Jeremy McPherson, really kind of energetic stuff like Paul Mason, and then people like Picciotto or myself who like to do that kind of more dynamic art. But yeah, to come up with the composition is just basically looking at key scenes without giving too much away, trying to at least incorporate at least a bad guy or like the antagonist, and then, you know, draw Phantom as many times as you can so you can sell the original art.
And because Frew keep coming back to the Jamie Johnson well, we know that that's a recipe that's working well. So I'd say you're on a winning formula and you should stick to that. But I think that should answer Sarup's question with that. I'm just going to go through a bit of love in the chat. Before that, Jermaine Parker, Phantom Detective, is correcting me and telling me that Wharf Rats is 1962 and 1999. Which is correct, which was the story that Pitchy was talking about. And Chris Hill's backing up Swarup's suggestion to pin each picture so you can see them much better. So that's the layout that you were seeing in the gallery view. You can change that. So if you want to just see the art, you can pin that. But if we change it, it'll only change what's being recorded by Chronicle Chamber to appear on the podcast. So if you right-click on the thing you want to look at, if you want to get really in close to that artwork instead of cutting to me every time my mouth opens, which seems to be a lot, right-click on the image and you can select pin and you can really get in close. Pitch is a good one to be looking at now because I really like the fine work that he does when he goes into that detail around the muscle, put some of that shading in, a little cross-hatching around the Phantom's cowl. And Camillo with the light box because you're able to see where that flag's coming out in there. There's a question in the chat, Camillo, about the flag. I think it's probably a Ukrainian flag. Am I right?
No, it's not have a peace symbol on it.
Peace symbol. Oh, this is the Full Metal Jacket duality of man. Why does your war helmet have a peace symbol on it? So, and what was the inspiration there? Because this has grown out of Chronicle Chamber getting on the back of Salvaludo's call out to the artists to contribute to the Unicef cause.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's a peace sign in the background too, right? On the.
That's right. So there's going to be like some rubble that is sticking up that sort of forms a peace sign around him.
It's an amazing mood that piece is coming along together really well. And Tom's also asked, in addition to the flag, is that a knife on the right leg? Which I think Jamie answered live, which is a good. It's a diving knife. So I think we're seeing the moment before. There's he's taking on a shark or something.
I didn't want to be too aggressive, but he's going to have a spear gun. So there you
go. And we could be here for a while. So good for a suggestion from Swoop to pin each picture. Can see them much better. And Bradley's saying he's hoping he'll be able to make his way down to Supanova in June. That would be fantastic. I think the first time I ever met Bradley was at a Sydney Supanova. I think at Jamie Johnson's table.
I think it was Melbourne, wasn't it? Was it Sydney?
I think it was Sydney.
Okay, you go everywhere, don't you?
And if I have to go back to Instagram to prove that you're wrong again, and Chronicle Chamber's giving out a bit of love to Camillo, saying amazing work. It sounds like everyone's jumped on board with pinning the pictures and are getting a closer look at the artists getting their work done, which is what we've come here for. Bradley is confirming that I am right, Jamie, and that it was Sydney, and it was at Supanova. Thank you, Bradley. You've earned yourself free Coke when we meet up at Supanova. Just going to look through some more of the love in the chat. Terry, to everyone, I love the drawing that Jamie did on the back cover of his sketchbook. It was a nice surprise. So is that the sketch was that the one where you had this, you could do a sketch to request, like it was a commission sketch on the back of your sketch cover?
Yeah, so my sketchbook, Darren Close from Killaroo designed it. I'll show you an example. It's like, it's got on the front and then on the back, it's just blank. So you can kind of do like a layout. So I believe if that's Terry Cray, it was the Phantom in a slight upshot on rooftops with both guns kind of drawn, which was a fun one to do.
And those sketchbooks still available, Jamie?
They are. I'll have them with me at the conventions. I should have another volume coming out soon as well. Hopefully by the Sydney show.
But not in time to include this diving piece that we're seeing get created before our eyes here?
Possibly.
Really? Yeah. I'm hoping this isn't the last time, wherever it goes into a private collection tonight, isn't the last time I get to see that image. It's really coming along nicely.
Thanks,
and if you want to have a closer look at Jamie's work, if you're in the chat, 8:14 p.m, Chris Hill gives detailed instructions on how to get a closer look at that artwork, especially when everyone's talking at the same time, and John's backed him up. So just 8:14 if you're not sure, you're unfamiliar with Zoom and you want a bit more help with that. John C, Chronicle Chamber. So Jermaine, Terry, Trevor Clark have all said yes, going to the dinner. And Alex is coming to dinner for the first time. So, Pitchy, you won't be alone. You have a fellow creator there to hold your hand if we all make you very nervous. Terry asks that Jamie mentioned Melbourne Supernova. He will attend.
Yeah.
Are Daniel and Camillo attending? Camillo, are you going to Melbourne?
Melbourne Supernova, did you say? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be at Melbourne Oz Comic Con.
Is it Oz Comic Con you're going to, Jamie?
Both.
Both.
Oh no, I think Supernova's done.
Yeah.
I had COVID. I couldn't go.
So Oz Comic Con in Melbourne is soon. June.
It's next month, yeah.
And so we will see you, Camillo.
Yeah, you will.
And someone who's based in Melbourne looking for commissions from you or requests from you for a particular piece of art or work or a sketch cover or anything like that, just getting in touch with you through your socials.
Yeah, through my social media.
So we'll put it in the post at the end, but Instacam_illo, so Instacamillo on Instagram to check out Camillo's work and get in touch with him if he's chasing something before a live appearance. And Pitchy, Melbourne Oz Comic Con. Will we see you?
I won't be there. I got invited, but I just don't have a place to stay. So I thought I'd save some money and not go yet. But I most likely will be doing Brisbane this year. If you know anyone in Brisbane, I'll be there. But yeah, right now I'm just Sydney.
Yeah, obviously Jamie Johnson hasn't put you in touch with his Melbourne Uber driver. Who could have hooked you up with somewhere to stay, and Brisbane. So that's helpful because there's a few people I'm seeing in the group that are based there, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward to the opportunity to get to see your work up close and personal.
It's always cool to meet people in the flesh.
And Alex coming to his first time at the Phantom dinner. This is.
I will say it's shout out to Alex. He's done some awesome covers this past year. If anyone's seen those ones,
there is some amazing talent giving you a run for your money, and Alex is hot on your heels with some of his covers. The response as they come out has been tremendous. The one Orient Express where he's jumping out of the window onto the train was a great action, and again competing with you for those wraparound covers. We've also got, when will Brisbane be? Tom is asking about Brisbane Supernova. When is it, Pitchy?
September, I believe.
And Jamie, you were going to that one?
I think I'm going to every convention.
Do you know when the dates are?
If you jump on my socials, I posted it about 2 weeks ago, and I just put Oz Comic Con in one column and Supernova in the next. So there's an Oz Comic Con in Canberra in August. There is Sydney Oz Comic Con in September, I believe, and then I think Brisbane. Is it Supernova or Oz Comic? I can't remember.
So Brisbane is November the 5th to the 6th, and it sounds like
Supernova.
I'm going to wait for Jermaine to post it in the chat because I think he's just looked the dates up. It's Supernova. So Oz Comic Con, I think you did already, and Paul Mason might have been there.
Which one was that though? Brizzy? Yeah,
Brisbane.
Yeah.
And so November 5th to the 6th for Tom asking when that's going to be. And Alex Tripp is saying thank you, Daniel, for the shout out from another creator. And not hollow words, like I have heard tremendous comments about the artwork for the three artists that we've got sketching for us here, and about Alex, who my understanding is works digitally a lot more than some of the others, but I've also seen his originals in real life as well, and they are incredible. And the way Tripp does some of the other characters that he's worked on is very impressive as well, and it really has his own style. Bradley's talking about was honest when we were talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Camillo, and he's reminiscing about he used to watch the old late 2000s TMNT show and the old Spider-Man TV show on a weekend. Is Spider-Man a character that you enjoy drawing, Camillo?
I love drawing Spider-Man. He's one of my favorite characters.
And you've done, for those watching and listening that aren't sure, you've done a series of prints off the back of your TMNT work for IDW, so your Ninja Turtles, and you've done the Turtles through the ages because you've been a fan for that long and you've seen the evolution of those characters through different formats. Can you tell us about, did someone ask you to do that, or was that something that a project for you that we've got to enjoy?
No, no one asked me to do that, but what happened was when I started, that was around the time COVID just kicked off, and I knew that I wasn't going to have any conventions for the foreseeable future. I didn't know how much work I was going to be getting, so off the back of getting that one Turtles cover, I'm like, I better do something to sort of like, you know, push this momentum and try to make some money off it, you know. So I started those Turtles Through the Ages series, and then just over the course of the lockdown, it exploded on social media. So I think it took me from like 2,000 followers to 10,000 followers, and it was basically those prints basically were my salary for the next 2 years.
Wow.
To more Ninja Turtle work, you know. So the more good things that came of it, I just continued it, you know, until finally I got sick of it. I was bound to get sick of it sooner or later, you know. I think I drew 6 different characters 9 times each.
Wow.
It was a lot of work, man, and but it definitely was worth. As I said, it paid my bills for the next 2 years during COVID.
And which was first? Which character did you do first?
It was Leonardo, and I never even really planned on doing Through the Ages. I drew Leonardo in the old Mirage style.
Yep.
And then after that, I thought, oh, maybe I'll draw him in the cartoon style too. By the time I decided I'd be doing Through the Ages, I think I was like, I'd only drawn three Leonardos, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll make it a thing. I'll draw 9 Leonardos, and I'll end it there. And then I ended up drawing every single one of them 9 times.
Wow. And so the four original Turtles, Jenica?
No, I didn't do Jenica.
No. April?
4 original Turtles. I done Splinter and Shredder.
Splinter and Shredder.
Casey Jones and April.
Oh, wow. I remember seeing the April one coming out. I'm really impressed with that because I didn't even realize the amount of variation there'd been in those characters. So and for those who don't know, haven't seen them online or at the live appearances, it's a bit like a Generations of the IP for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So the different styles from different artists across different mediums since the 80s when they came out. Now, Camillo, the Phantom is sitting right there with 21 generations, and we've seen Jeff Weigel's interpretation where he's given his own impression or interpretation of what he thinks, you know, some different generations of the Phantom might have added as flair or zhuzh to the Phantom costume. Would you consider doing something like that for a Phantom Through the Ages when you've got 400 years to work through instead of 40?
I'd love to, man. As I said, like it wasn't like I've chosen Turtles over Phantom or anything like that. I'd love to do it, but it was more the Turtles happened just out of the fact that I was getting published pretty regularly, that 3 times in the last 2 years or so. So that's why I did the Turtles. Otherwise, I'd love to do Phantom as well. One thing is, I don't know if I'd be able to make prints of them like I did the Turtle stuff, because when I did do the Phantom stuff, I was told not to do any prints or anything like that. So until I'm told otherwise, I don't think I'd print them out and sell them off, because I don't want to ruin my chances of getting any more work.
And we don't want to get you in trouble either, but if anyone is going to commission a piece like that from you, they're probably in this audience. And Frew, if you end up listening to the podcast or watching the video cast, there's a talented artist there that has proven that they can do characters through the generations and make it popular. you're listening to those social media numbers. That's incredible. Other people have to spend 6 months trying to get a golf ball into a cup from the other end of the hallway to get that kind of attention online. Camillo, that work you're doing there is amazing. And Bradley Kelly is reinforcing that and saying that those TMNT artworks that you did, the Through the Ages, are amazing. Bradley, for those who don't know, is a massive pop culture fan who has his own podcast and YouTube channel, and is a voracious content generator. And so we'll obviously learn a lot from watching Camillo's mastery of social media. And sounds like a big fan. So I think I know whose table Bradley's going to when he goes to Supanova. Jo has put into the chat that she's enjoying watching all the artwork come along. Jo has seen Jamie draw many times, and I'm also impressed with how his work comes together. Also fantastic work watching Daniel and Camillo's work in progress. And Daniel's giving me a thumbs up to everybody. And it's not a race, but if you guys are looking at the other artists' streams as you're working, they're all coming along incredibly, and you all seem to be lifting your game simultaneously to keep up with each other. I think the difficult decision here is if you won, is which one you want to be taking home. I can see people salivating because they've left their cameras on. The Camillo, that composition with the peace sign in the background and then the flag, I think that's a really good mood. That's how I'm seeing that piece coming together. And guys, we are really appreciative of you letting us be involved in this private moment. And if anyone's keeping count, Daniel hasn't double tapped on his sketchbook once. Pitchy, you seem to work from the top to the bottom when you get to your inking. Is that about not smudging your work, or is it about you just, that's how you set in your mind one piece at a time?
Yeah, it's I'm right-handed, so from left to right, top to bottom is normally where I go. But I generally do, it's going to sound funny, but I generally try to do the hard stuff first. So if I wasn't on camera, I would tackle the hard, most detailed stuff. And then after that's all done, I just get to let my brain rest and blacken everything. But I thought as everyone's watching, I thought I would completely do the piece from top to bottom this one time.
We appreciate you putting yourself out for us. We take a contortionist. When you say the difficult bit you do first, you've seen my layouts when I've tried to explain something I'm describing in words to you. So every part of the picture is the difficult part. The piece that you're working on there, if you weren't doing it live, what would constitute a difficult part that you'd start with first? His chest, his head?
To be honest with you, I kind of cheated. So the part that I did cheat, where I did these layouts, I actually, the hardest part would be the hands and the gun.
Oh, wow.
And if anyone's paying attention, I had that done before we started because it would have taken forever.
Sounds like our sketch offs.
I re-penciled the gun a couple of times.
Are there 6 started sketches with guns half inked on the floor behind the out of view of the camera?
So yeah, exactly right.
That's amazing, and that you can switch it up and do that for us for our enjoyment is absolutely incredible, and something I remain in awe of every time I see your work. Jamie,
thank you.
Jamie, your piece there with, where has this come from? Tell me. I know the inspiration. Where is the inspiration for this piece? Where does it come from? You told us you were listening to Indiana Jones music to try and draw game pieces. Which IP? What was playing in the background? What soundtrack was playing in the background when this idea came to you?
Nothing was playing in the background, but I've always wanted to do phantom diving. I was always fascinated with sharks when I was little, but my favorite film growing up, my dad and I used to watch Thunderball, which is a James Bond, as you're well aware. And yeah, so that was kind of the, if anyone hasn't seen it, there's a kind of scenes where they're diving and he's in a pool and they actually release all these sharks and there's like scuba diving and it's real like 60s frog suit, skin diving, double back, real old school kind of feel. So that's kind of the inspiration for it. Whether I'm pulling it off or not is another thing, but it's fun to do nonetheless.
And so the person that ends up with that piece can negotiate with you separately for throwing you a bit extra to put Honey Rider in the piece with him as well, in that one-piece bathing suit.
I actually did during lockdown. It was really kind of cool. Stephen Siebert, yeah, he commissioned me to do a domino.
Oh wow,
which was cool. She was holding the spear gun in the bikini and things like that when I was doing like the live streams. So that was a good fun, and that kind of got me thinking of doing this piece, and I never got around to it. And thought what better time than a charity stream. So yeah.
Now, knowing you, I think we will see this image somewhere else. And looking at all three pieces, I know Frew looks at the podcast and listens to the podcast afterwards because Jermaine is secretly the editorial inspiration behind a lot of the creative decisions at Frew. And he uses this as his influence machine. These are cover quality pieces that are getting created here. So the people who've paid their entry fee to come in tonight for a chance to win these pieces are going to walk away very happy. And if they subsequently end up on the newsstands because they've been turned into covers, I wouldn't be surprised. We've got Bradley asking a question again. So he's just saying he saw Camillo last year and asked a question of him. So do you know the guy who asked you a question last year, Camillo? That was Bradley.
Yeah, I know Bradley.
Yeah, so and it sounds like it's a few more opportunities coming up for Bradley to get some more content talking to you guys live at the shows. Tom is asking everyone, will the artists sign their pieces?
Absolutely.
And
yeah, of course.
And we'll check. We'll check with you if you're the winner to ensure that if you want a dedication or something like that on the piece, that the artists know that before it ends up in the mail. And I think everyone just indicated that yes, they will do that. Brad is also asking, and I'll ask. It's for all three of you, so I'll read the question and then go around. And without nominating first, like a good school teacher, if Stephen was here, he'd be proud of me. When you are drawing female characters, do you have any tips on that? Pitchy, you draw beautiful women, spoken like a sad comic book nerd that I am, but the stuff you've done in our sequentials is amazing. And I've seen your development sketches where you've drawn female characters, and your Wonder Woman is one of my favorite interpretations of that character. When you're drawing female characters, do you have any tips on that for aspiring artists?
Thank you. That's very nice. Yeah, so for aspiring artists, is it?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming he's asking that, or he might just be drawing women in his lounge room to talk to.
To be honest, just the way that I approach it is that I try to mix a few different elements, right? I try to stay true to the character, their body type, and then how to make them look sexy but not like trashy. And I think these days that is a really big thing that you need to be aware of. I know back in the 90s you would find a lot of pinup sketches and swimsuit models and all the different types. There are artists that still do that kind of stuff, but I prefer my personal taste is try to make it classy, so sexy with some flair to it, in terms of let the sexiness be as part of the action or the mood, as opposed to minimal clothing. That's my personal taste to it, and I guess I just try and draw the kind of faces and things that I would find attractive, and from the artists that inspire me the most. There are heaps of artists that draw sexy women, but not very few do. Only the best ones, I would say, do classy kind of work. I mean, take your pick. I mean, some people like sexy work, and there's nothing wrong with sexy, I guess. But I think some people like Frank Cho. Some people think it's a little bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
I love J. Scott Campbell. I know he does sexy really well, but in a stylized Disney kind of way. Old school Jim Lee, so 90s Jim Lee, I think pushed the barriers to the line, I guess. But yeah, I think I just try and go through inspiration and then try and stay with the times. And especially these days, I try and match their body types to what they would be. So if I was to draw Wonder Woman now, I'd probably do a little bit more physically strong, you know, as opposed to being sexy. So yeah, that's my personal take.
I think the way you've done Wonder Woman is that balance, does strike that balance. And you're right, it is, because it is important, particularly in the creative arts and with comics as the basis where a lot of the fan base is coming from or getting exposed to your work, because it's part of the development of young readers or young fans from all genders, and it's about the image that you're portraying with that. And I think your work finds that balance quite well, where you are matching the look of the character to the character itself. So well done. Camillo, drawing females, is that why you didn't do the Jenica through the ages?
I've done April, she's a female, but I'll probably always struggle with drawing females. The best advice I could give is look at real life. So always try to study real life and learn from that. And I found that less lines on a female's face is better, and that's like my hot little tip for drawing female faces. Just use the least lines as possible.
Just 2 eyes and no mouth.
Yeah, no mouth.
No. But you mean in terms of showing the mouth movement when they're in action, like they're talking, or to make them look younger?
Well, I mean, like on a man's face, you can get away with a lot of lines, like on the brow, and you know, to show expression, and you got to find a balance with showing that emotion when you're drawing a female. But if you put too many lines, they sort of start coming across as masculine or a little bit monstrous, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to keep the lines at a minimum when I'm drawing a female.
And jokes aside, I think that's demonstrated in your April Through the Ages piece, because you've shown the different styles without showing it's the character aging.
Yeah.
But the character gives more depth as you go through some of those images you've got there. Thanks, Camillo. Jamie, any tips from for when you're drawing female characters?
Yeah, so I think what Pitchy was saying, it's a fine line. You got to do feminine, you know, but sexy, but not hypersexualized. So the one borderline one I did was it looked almost Vampirella-ish, but it was Princess Sin, and because she had quite a low neckline, and you know, it was quite busty, and I didn't feel too comfortable doing that, to be honest with you. So it was kind of the first and last time I kind of attempted that. But yeah, for me, I also teach young girls, so I don't like to do kind of overly you know, objectified versions of women. I think the line weight just has to be a little bit finer and just a little bit more delicate when you're drawing females, so they don't look too masculine.
How do you think, and I'm going to ask you this question with no notice, but you mentioned that in your drawing classes that you've got young creators that are developing their writing style, and they're developing how they see the world at the same time. How do you find that the way we are discussing how people are perceived visually, like the image of people, particularly when you're depicting someone with a pen and ink or a pencil or paint or whatever you're doing, whatever medium you're working in, how do you feel that is being interpreted by your students, by the young Australians?
So can you clarify? What do you mean?
So there's a lot of discussions in school, in social on social media sites, in the general media, in the
was it about identity roles or
in the public narrative about how people are, how women and men or genders are depicted visually. Is that your students are developing how they see the world, and they develop their own opinions about themselves, how they see other people, how they see the world.
Yeah.
How do you see that coming across in their artwork? Is it a consideration? Does it change from when you were learning to draw yourself?
Not so much. Like, we're kind of learning in a bubble a little bit. So it's always important. I've had students that are, I guess, the broader conversation about identity and how they identify and things like that. And if we do things like short stories and stuff, I always try and get them to do things that are personal to them, that kind of, you know, portray their place in the world. But to be honest with you, it's not really something that takes into consideration when I'm teaching a very basic skill. So if I'm drawing, you know, males or females, it'll be just kind of atypical differences, like the soften the jaw, and, you know, for a male, make it a little bit more square and things like that. But not really, to be honest with you. if that's an answer.
Sure. It's amazing that you're getting to do that work and influencing another generation of creators. What's been the most rewarding part of watching young minds sculpt young creativity?
Just seeing their confidence. So a lot of kids that age will be kind of, you know, the whole idea is, I tell them it's like decorating a cake. You know, I'll give them the ingredients, but everyone decorates it differently. So you can't compare yourself to the next person. So if we were all comparing ourselves to Daniel Picciotto, we'd just quit. You know what I mean? We just do our own thing, and we stay in our lane, and we do it the best we can. And it's just good to see them build the confidence. I've got a kid who's working on a school project, and I
think what Jamie's saying is he wants to win the next sketch-off battle.
No, he's working on a piece that is a character in it, and basically he has ADHD, and it's kind of how to portray that to the world, people who might not be privy to that, and I guess creating a bit of empathy for his situation. So it's kind of visually representing his struggle, and by actually using creativity and using like almost like Venom. It's like this alter ego kind of thing. And yeah, so it's kind of cool to see them kind of work through their own stuff through the creative medium as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, good on you for making yourself available doing that. So Tom has to leave the chat because he's spoiling Bond by pointing out to everyone that Bond only had a 3-minute mouse cylinder, so couldn't possibly have done that massive 25-minute fight at the end of Thunderball. But you are correct, Tom. And Sean Connery's hair somehow is always perfect, despite the fact that he's just taken a wetsuit and a mask off. Tom's also asked, does the successful participant get the rights to the image?
I don't know what you need the rights for.
So my understanding is, and I will let the artist, I'll leave some open air for the artist to correct me, because you're all more familiar with how IP affects your work. If you do an original piece as a commission or as a one-off like this piece here, it's not subject to some of the release requirements around IP and some of those controls. But if you make a print from the piece or try to use it for a box cover, tie, wallet, commemorative placemat, that's when it starts to become some legally grey area where you're starting to get some cease and desist letters. Is that right? So my understanding is, and again, the artist can correct me if I've gone way off, you are getting an original piece of art that probably should be on a cover, but the decision of where that ends up is in the hands of the people who have the license to do so. So unless Rene White is changed his name and secretly in this group, the answer to your question there, Tom, is probably no. But you do have bragging rights, which is much more important, particularly to the people that are in this group, who are all eagerly watching these 3 pieces come to life and visualizing in their skull caves as they sit in them where it is going to go. I have a space just up here. If anyone runs out of room, you all know how to get in touch with me. Callum Markham has joined the group and has said, "G'day, all internet and mobile coverage has been super limited." I'm going to say, Callum, all day at home. I'm pretty sure Callum's coming to us from Western Australia, and I think you might have been in the same room as some of the people in this chat I've seen on social media recently, maybe yesterday. Welcome, Callum. You're welcome to go back through the chat and have a look at some of the questions that have been asked. We haven't drawn anything yet. You didn't miss anything. Jamie's put his pants back on, but you can see all the stuff that you missed in the replay that will go out on the Chronicle Chamber socials. Tom, can I put it on my t-shirt? This is a question that I'm not going to provide the.
I think it's fair go. I think it's fair go policy. If you own an image, as long as you're not selling it, it should be fine. But if you're reproducing it for commercial use, is where you'll get the lawyer run around. I think I've never had, knock on wood, I haven't had any trouble with that. But I think if you kind of take the mickey with it, that's where you kind of fall into trouble there.
Jamie's answer to Tom's question is not a legal opinion. It is subscribed to by chroniclechamber.com and Expand the Fan podcast.
Spoken by Duncan Munro.
So, Tom, I have seen people do what you're suggesting. And so if you are fortunate enough to get this, I don't see there being any problem with you proudly displaying it on your t-shirt. And that is an excellent literal demonstration of bragging rights. What is, can I put on my t-shirt? Daniel to everybody, framed. It's going up on the wall. If Daniel, it sounds like if any of these pieces end up in Daniel's collection, he's already made the appointment with the framer to put it in, and that's why he was getting confirmation at the start how big the images were. And if anyone's missed that at the start, all 11 by 17. So cover quality, cover size, original art getting created before your eyes, for the cost of entry and for the warm feeling in the cockles of your heart that you're helping kids in need all around the world. Tom, to everyone, what is the recommendation so far as framing is concerned? Are you going to frame, you could frame your original art and your t-shirt. What, I wouldn't intend that anyway. So you don't want to, I think he's answering there saying that he's not going to go and produce 1,000 posters. What is the recommendation as far as framing concerned? There are plenty of opinions in this group, and I'll let the chat get populated with some guidance to Tom on framing. I think from looking at the names here that I recognize, there are a significant amount of people with extensive experience in getting things framed, and I think Bradley Peach might be in here somewhere, who's probably the most expert. Personally, I've the difficulty I've found is curating what gets framed, because there's so much amazing work, as we've seen from the artists that are producing tonight.
Back in one sec.
That they're just getting your sport for choice. But you're either looking for a framer that you know through a recommendation or trust to get something done. If it's a piece that you want to preserve, where you're putting it up, keeping it out of direct sunlight, UV rated glass is always preferred, and if you can have the glass not touching the art through a spacer, you get what you pay for in terms of framing. So there are discounted and cheaper people that will do bespoke framing, and there's also quite a large market in multiple different sizes for standard sizes like 11 by 17 that you can get from frames for places like Kmart and some of the other retail stores. But you're limited on your matting options with that, and it really makes a difference if you get something framed properly. So Tom, that's my opinion, and hopefully some of the team in the group will give you some better guidance. Trevor has put for the focus. Are Daniel's stripes too thin? Daniel, just double tap on your piece of paper and see if you can change it. I'll be interested to see how the chat goes with providing a response to Trevor's challenge. And Daniel's response to Trevor when he sees him in person. So we're getting a good close up there to have a look at those stripes, which are, I'm pretty sure are going the right way. And we're getting a really good close look up, not just of the where future generations of the fandom come from, but also some of that detailed cross hatching and really fine detail that Daniel puts into muscle tone. And that's what I'm talking about. It's a more detailed, to me, version of that swimmer physique, Raymore, live, cat-like phantom. And it's coming out in that piece that you're putting together there.
Let me know, guys.
And
I'll let some black to them.
I think it's good. I think if Trevor is measuring the width of the stripes on the Phantom trunks, we're really down to brass tacks. So with or without glass from Tom for framing, it's up to you. It's personal choice. The artists know more about preserving their work than me, but something that's well framed behind appropriate UV glass is going to last for quite a long time. And where you have it open to the air, and depending on the environment you're keeping it in the house, whether you're up in Queensland with some of our banana bender people that are joining us tonight, humidity is also going to play a factor as well. And Trevor's saying, correction, Camillo, only joking. I don't know what that was in relation to. Trevor has sorry, I've skipped a bit of the chat. So there's sexy with a knife. So this Tom is going back onto the conversations earlier about drawing with females, sexy with a knife, which is what I think Pitchy put in the background of his image there when he replaced the cigarette with the knife. And he also likes the shading of the diver. And Jamie's putting a bit of, is that airbrushing on there, Jamie?
Epic airbrushing.
Wow. And that's really bringing up that shark in the background.
And then it'll, I'll use some white to make him pop.
That's amazing. Like these, from where we started, these are really coming together nicely and coming to life. No one else is giving Tom some guidance on framing. And that's what Trevor Clark said, correction, Camillo, only joking. And Terry has asked everybody, here's some advice for Tom and everyone about framing. See your local framer for advice, non-reflective glass and museum quality, acid-free paper. I would second Terry's opinion. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Alex, to everybody, still jealous of your Alex Ross original fan piece, Duncan. Thank you, Trip. And Daniel, to everyone, loving the commentary, Duncan. The check is in the mail. And Tom, to everyone far north. What's he responding to there? So you are stuck in the humid area. Humidity does play a factor in preserving your collection. You need to get some advice from fellow collectors, or you can look on some of the archiving discussions online and a few of the Facebook groups like Original Comic Art Collectors. If you go back through some of their pinned conversations, there's lots of detailed chats from collectors all around the world in all kinds of climates and how they address some of those challenges of extremes of humidity and extremes of heat and cold with preserving original art. But good on you. You're in Phantom country up there in far north Queensland, Tom. For the international guests that are there, it is getting very close to Tropic of Capricorn, and it's either hot or hot and wet up there. Bradley is saying Jamie's artwork is beyond wow. Jamie, wow is here. And somewhere all the way over this way, according to Bradley, is your artwork.
Thanks, mate.
I would build on the back of that and say, I'm standing at wow, and I can't even see your artwork from here. Daniel, to everyone, do any of the artists or creators have anything in the pipeline for Frew? What a loaded question. Thank you, Daniel. I think Camillo has indicated that he hasn't, but if Frew were listening, everyone wants to see that. Daniel, while I'm on that, off the back of Daniel's question, and we'll come back to the other artists for it, you've got quite a broad scope in your styles from all the work that I've seen from you, looking through your sketchbook, looking through the different commissions you've done for me and for others that I've seen, your prints, your variant covers, the work you did for Nickelodeon that we talked about earlier. And you've done quite a good, you've done quite a few different characters in it, like a chibi style. Is that the right description of doing that?
Yeah.
Can you see a Phantom in that chibi style that in your pen and in your mind that you could come up with?
Yeah, of course, man. Jamie's already done it. Jamie done a chibi Phantom, I'm pretty sure.
I thought that was a homage.
Actually, Terry Crayo's owns it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was Jamie's homage to Camillo di Pietrantonio.
No,
So
Camillo's the king of them, though.
And you've got some little pins that they come up really well. Those metal shaped pins that are just a good size for collecting, displaying really well.
Yeah.
I'm not going into licensing territory, but I'm just saying, as a fan, I'd love to see a chibi style Phantom from you in that pin. Is there a product that you'd like to see your Phantom artwork on?
I always thought Phantom would make a good pin, a good series of pins.
Yeah.
I think a lot of collectors like enamel pins. You can put them many places.
Yeah. And
Phantom pin, yeah.
I'm just going to plant that little thought seed in your head and hope that Frew are paying attention, listening when they're looking for ideas for what to put with the next annual. Just saying, Phantom through the ages, metal pins designed by Camillo. I'm not going to claim credit for that. I'm just going to say that idea just floated in the ether out of the sketch session from Chronicle Chamber. But I'm going to go to the other two artists. Jamie, anything in the pipeline that we've seen a recent cover from you that's just showing up in everyone's mailboxes in the signature series was signed by you, available from Frew, limited to $100 for every issue. $100 per issue, signed by the cover artist. Is there something in the pipeline from you for Frew or from any of the other?
I got nothing.
Again, talking directly to Glenn, Dudley, and Renee. His hand is better. He is traveling around the country to every convention known to man. He can drop past Sydney and drop off some original cover artwork. What on that? You've appeared on bookmarks, trading cards, prints, the board game, coloring book, Chronicle Chamber's bushfire book, Phantom covers for 3 different publishers. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see your Phantom? What product would you like to see your Phantom artwork on?
I would have loved to design like a statue or something. Just the idea of doing your own, because you draw the character enough and you kind of get to an approximation of what he might look like in real life. But I'd love to do like a realistic, sort of similar to, I guess Glenn did it with the bust, but I'd love to do my own version of that. So sort of in the vein of like Prime 1, like those kinds of statues. Yeah.
So if Mr. Sideshow Collectibles or Mr. Icon Collectibles is watching this, sitting in the office there with Dudley and Glenn, I don't know, is there any chance that an image of this Phantom diving under the water with his knife and his spear going out with a shark behind him could find its way to being sculpted into a statue that could grace the shelves of many of the skull caves that are here in the background here? Someone's saying Bradley is being very reserved in saying yes in capital letters in the chat to the statue. He wants the statue. So the fans have spoken.
Actually, speaking of Bradley, I'd love to do him on the Skull Throne as well. That would be a dream come true.
It's Bradley Kelly. I think you're talking about
Bradley Kelly. I thought you were saying Bradley Peach. My bad.
Bradley Peach, who has his own Skull Throne in his house. Alex is giving us a bit of an answer to this question, that he is doing a print for Frew at the moment, but I'm not sure if I can share that. Whoops. I need to read the whole message before I start reading out stuff in the chat. Tom is telling us that he's above the Tropic of Capricorn for those following along on their Funk and Wagnalls at home, where the movie was shot. Tom is becoming the most interesting person in the chat. I'm curious to check out Tom's socials to see if there's action shots of him on location with Billy Zane and Christy Swanson. But I've digressed from Daniel's question. Do anyone? And I've left you for last, Daniel. I'm putting you on the spot from a question from Daniel. Anything in the pipeline for Frew that you can share?
I think you could answer that better than me. But yeah, there's a few things. I think you actually mentioned it at the start. We're working together on a story. We just finished up that annual where we had the 11-page story, but we've got 8 new stories coming out, which is huge. But we'll get to it, I promise, Duncan. And actually I've got a print, as Alex said as well, coming up in a folio. I should have that done by Saturday. And I think, don't quote me, but I think the next cover coming out is mine.
So now everyone
in
is
2 weeks' time. Yeah.
And if you play this back, if it comes out before that issue is released, there has been a hint of what the inspiration was for that cover that Pitchy's got pending. So not only, Daniel, is it in the pipeline, it's almost ready to shoot out of the top of the pipeline.
Does anybody want a sneak peek?
I don't want to get you in trouble, but if it just happens to be in the background while we're doing a live sketch session. Everyone is now pinning and screenshotting Pitchy's second camera, which has got his artwork there with an awesome double-page wraparound cover of the Phantom,
sick, dude.
Well ensconced in a altercation with somebody on a sailing ship that is not having a good day. That is a great action shot.
Not the final image.
Do you think to draw Johnny Depp?
Should have put him in the background. Or Margot Robbie.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to go with a dad joke here and say that obviously the Phantom is upset that he's being charged $7.50 for a banana cream pie, and he's unhappy with the Pirates of the Caribbean. So,
Pirates, shit.
Daniel, did your character cop one in the nose from a bad guy? Which one is that? Tom to everyone. So, Pitchy, did your character cop one in the nose from a bad guy? Is that it, Daniel? I'm going back a few minutes there with the chat. Is that in relation to the Phantom image there? Because is that the cross hatching on the nose, which is a signature Pitchy edition? Going close on the face details there, Pitchy. Oh, you've captured really well there the well-known broken nose of the 21st Phantom. Did your character cop one in the nose from a bad guy? I think that's what the question is.
It must be the camera because it doesn't look broken to me.
And so I'm saying the answer is probably no. And because who could possibly lay their hands on the Phantom except for everyone who sneaks up behind him and hits him in the back of the head, knocks him unconscious, much to the chagrin of Dan and Steve. For those that listen to Expand the Phantom podcast regularly, Chronicle Chamber to everyone, amazing. So that looks like these are responses and a bit of love for Pitchy's sneak preview of the cover that we absolutely did not see. And despite the fact that this is going out on YouTube, we're not going to talk about that. Trevor said too quick because he's clearly trying to get a screenshot. And Trip has said beautiful, which is high praise from him. He's now thrown out the piece that he was working on for Frew and started completely from scratch, like one of the Impressionist masters throwing out their paintbrushes after seeing Da Vinci do a piece. Looks, Tom says, looks like it's been broken. I'm going to say that it's canon because there are, I think it was Sai that did the Phantom with a bit of broken nose a few times. I'll get corrected by Jermaine in a moment, so I'll be sure to delete that. Swaroop has said that sneak peek of a cover Daniel showed on screen looks amazing. I 100% agree with you, Swaroop. you have the exclusive on the subcontinent for seeing that image.
Thanks, guys.
Daniel has said sold. Who's probably misunderstood the concept of a draw, but absolutely, everyone will be agreeing with Daniel's endorsement of your piece there. And Chronicle Chamber has said Daniel has just received 20 odd DMs asking for the price on the original. I think that's underrated because while there's a limited amount of tickets to the show, everyone has already shared it on their socials, and all the collectors who have missed out on an opportunity to be here tonight are also trying to get that piece. Bradley is saying, I did not say nothing. I hope I got the accent right for you there, Bradley. All sneak peeks shown here today will be for your eyes only, we promise. Thank you, Swaroop, and excellent reference to Bond from earlier with Jamie. And would be proud to have any of these, says Tom, not dropping any hints at all about when are you going to get to the draw, guys. Stop Duncan talking. Some more love in the chat. Loving the work. Yes. Amazing. Beautiful. Fantastic with a PH. Very cool from Chris Hill. Everyone's really wrapped with the sneak peek, and so we're wanting to see more. And we're all saying the same thing, both in terms of seeing that in our letterboxes soon or on the newsstands, and seeing more work from Pitchy, especially me. So there is a collaboration Pitchy and I are working on after the Shameful Trade story that came out at the start of the year. It's different from any of the other stories that have come out from me, and a different Phantom from the one that Pitchy put in our Eastern Dark story, so a different generation of the Phantom, in a not unfamiliar setting, but from what I have seen, and I've had the benefit of seeing Pitchy's work in progress as he's gone through, and it is an honor to be able to see that he's bringing to life my words, that we're able to collaborate on creating something, and that I get to see it grow from a blank page or a blank Cintiq screen into the live art that ends up at Frew and shows up in your hot little hands. So hopefully that comes out as soon as it's ready to be released, and you get to enjoy Pitchy's work live, which may or may not be getting a sneak preview of in front of us there. Pitchy's style really suits the story for the amount of work that he's put into it so far. That is really coming along better than I could have possibly hoped when I wrote that script.
Thanks, Duncan.
Tom is saying we'd be proud to have any of these in our stuff. Bradley is paying me a compliment, which I think I only paid for 5 when I sent those funds to him via PayPal earlier. Duncan, you're doing a wonderful job tonight. Thank you, Chris. You're very kind to me. You're always very nice. He knows the LFMBEC dinner is coming up. He knows I don't drink and wants me to go to the bar and make sure that his glass is always fully stocked. And some more love in the chat. Well done. There's some clapping. There's some likes. Jamie has got the ruler out because he's getting the spear gun right. Camillo's filling in the work on the background with that peace sign. And Pitchy is really selling the angle that we've taken on there with the perspective.
I've got a moon here, but you can't see it. And I realise I probably don't have a template big enough, so I'm going to have to do that off camera.
I'm going to ask I'm just going to go back over some things that you talked about in terms of your process, because there's a few people asking about those questions. I'm getting some private questions in the chat about that as well. And Pitchy, I'll ask you first. You've talked about your combination process of digital layouts first and then working towards traditional inks. What freedom does it give you in both those formats? I know the double tap lets you undo something and play with the composition. What does bring it to life with inks give you in terms of creative freedom?
Yeah, good question. I think I'm just old-fashioned in a sense where I just want to create something with my hands and really I enjoy the feeling of that pen hitting the paper. And then I buy the Strathmore bristle boards with a bit of tooth on it so that when I'm inking, I actually feel like the nib go through and it gives me some tooth. Yeah, and I prefer doing that as opposed to, as much as the iPad is fun to draw with, I find it's kind of slippery. So doing inks digitally is not really something that I enjoy doing. But it does give me the benefit of, jumping on a train and then doing some sketches there, right? So it doesn't really matter where I am. I can pull out the iPad and start working from your scripts.
And that's amazing that you're able to transition that quickly. Like I'm spending my time on public transport trying to dodge people coughing, and you're able to create these pieces of art like the one behind you and the one in front of you. Jamie, I'm going to come to you about this, but first I wanted to talk to you about, I may get this wrong, but you did some work with Samurai Dino Warriors that was affiliated with a Jim Starlin project, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about how that came about and what the story was behind it?
So I got hit up, I think similar to how Camillo did. I think Camillo did some of the design work for the actual characters, but the Dimitri Vegas teamed up with Michael Uzlan, who was the producer of all the live action Batman movies. And they're basically creating like an homage to like Ninja Turtles and just a lot of things that are in the pop culture zeitgeist. So he wanted me to kind of create or do an homage. They're basically 5 dinosaurs, 4 guys and 1 girl, which is currently what the Ninja Turtles are. And he wanted me to pay homage to my TMNT 100 cover. But that was actually, and to be honest, a little bit of a tricky area because it was actually turned into an NFT, which wasn't actually discussed. But yeah, that one went kind of crazy. I think it ended up, once you convert it, I think it was like $84,000 US.
Wow,
that piece got, which was kind of crazy. Yeah.
For the cheap seats, just say that figure again.
What's that? So it was at the time was 16 point something ETH, which is like in cryptocurrency. At the time, it's different now. It's obviously it's like a stock market. It was like $84,000 US. It went for, which is kind of crazy. I didn't get that, mind you. It was what the creator got, what the guy who commissioned me got. But yeah, it's kind of crazy seeing that, those kind of figures.
And I'm sure everyone in the group's familiar. NFT, non-fungible tokens. So it's digital art, but it creates using blockchain technology similar to what the Bitcoin currency, cryptocurrencies use. It makes it so that there's only one. It's a unique item that you get control over by purchasing it.
I think Cy Barry was going to be doing some NFTs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so that's currently in development with a company based in the US, and so the people in the audience here are likely looking forward to seeing what composition that comes out with. The people behind it have been interviewing creators and fans that have either been inspired by Cy's work or are fans of his work, and one of the questions that they're asking is, what would you like to see in a composition for a one-of-a-kind digital piece from Cy Barry? And it's going to be the first time he's obviously working in that format, the first time a Phantom piece has been available in NFT format, and the first time, I think that the first time Cy's done that work. And it is another generation of of artists that that Cy comes from, as one of the oldest living Batman artists. And he also worked on the fandom, and I'm pretty sure for those playing along at home, designed or helped co-create Crypto Superman style. So Jamie, what the NFT, your experience with NFT, even as inadvertent as it might have been from what you're telling us there, is it something that you would do again? Someone else comes to approach you and says, "Here's all my Bitcoin. I promise you it's like money. Will you draw me a picture that no one else can have?"
Yeah, I don't see why not. Camillo is pretty experienced with that. I don't know if we can talk about them, but it might be good to throw to him. I think he just did some recently.
I'm the host. You draw pictures, art boy. Camillo.
Dance, rummy.
On an unrelated note, Camillo, NFTs. What's been your experience that you're able to share with us in terms of exploring the NFT world?
So I've worked on one project that I can't talk about yet. But,
sorry, dude.
But I was involved in Dimitri Vegas's Samurai Dinosaurs project as well, a bit earlier on than Jamie. I was involved in like the designing of the characters.
Wow.
I've done a few character designs, and then I think it got passed on to a few other artists. So I had my version, and like my versions weren't completely the ones in the final versions, but there was a lot of elements that were. And then I also did it was meant to be, I think it was meant to be a variant cover, because I think the project at first was going to be an actual physical comic book. So I had done a variant cover, and then it became a NFT trading card. And I don't know how many he sold or how much it made. I'm pretty sure it made a lot of money. But yeah, like Jamie, we weren't really told about that part of the project. Like we were told it was going to be a comic book. So we weren't really, we didn't know much about the NFT side of things apart from what came out later.
And for the layperson watching you create and trying to understand what this evolution of NFT looks like to the art world and original art and collecting, is any part of your process in that NFT traditional inks, pen and paper, pencil layouts, blue line?
Yeah, well, like I've done all the artwork. I've done it like traditionally, so I've got all the original sketches and the original cover I did and stuff. It's all, I got all the paper, all the inks and stuff. I just scanned it and gave him a JPEG. So what, the JPEG is what the NFT is attached to. So not the actual original physical art.
Mm-hmm. And so what happens with the original art? Does it have to go with it? Is it destroyed? Is it in a vault?
Oh, it's mine.
Right.
I can sell it if I wanted to, but yeah, it's mine. So.
And would you do it again? Someone comes up to you with a bunch of imaginary money, cryptocurrency, and says, "Draw me a picture."
Based on that experience that I had, I'd be a bit cautious, because I wasn't told, and obviously, like, he doesn't have to tell me, because the NFT world is such a new space. It's not as if buying my artwork and then putting it on a t-shirt or putting it on a box, and it's like I expect that. With the NFT world, it's like you're making thousands upon thousands from a digital file, and like if I had known, I probably would charge a lot more. Amongst artists, there's like who work in the NFT space, there's an NFT tax, because they'll make money on every sale that happens. So if you own an NFT, you can resell it, and every time it's resold, you get, residual money from it. So I would have maybe asked for some sort of, royalty every time it gets resold or whatever. I don't know. I probably wouldn't do it again unless those terms were specifically outlined at the beginning.
And that's great insight and a really easy to understand, easy to comprehend way of explaining how NFT works. I'm just going to the chat because this is a divisive issue by the look of the chat, with Trevor saying NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are second only to slabbing.
To what?
To slabbing. So
right.
Obviously Trevor's a fan of putting comic books in plastic so you can't read them. No, I see the tongue very firmly planted in his cheek in the font that he's used in his comment there. Not a fan of slabbing, not a fan of NFT. Trevor, the traditionalist, wants to be able to hold the thing in his hand and then tell me he won't sell it to me. I agree with Bradley Kelly is saying, I agree with Daniel. I love to draw on pen and paper, on pen with paper. And there was more NFT chat in here. And Jermaine has been cruel and said to Trevor, is that because you don't understand it? Well, I'm sure that that comment's a little old in the chat now, and I'm sure now that we've had an excellent explanation from the experienced Camillo about NFTs. That's no longer the case, and Trevor's now educated. So next time we do one of these studio sessions, gang, remind me that we need to not only mute Jermaine, we also need to turn off his keyboard. And then Chris Hill said, very funny, Trev. I don't know what he's talking about, but I know what a slab looks like. And for the international listeners, a slab is the name for 24 cans of beer all packaged together so that it fits under your arm after you finish work to carry home. Or if you're where I grew up, that your kids can carry home from the shopping. Those were the days. Trevor is saying, I personally think that NFT is as risky as Bitcoin, and that is a good comparison because it is the same technology and it's reliant on that same consent, the same mutual consent that we're saying that a thing that doesn't really exist has value. But that's how cash money works as well. Remember cash money before COVID? Hello to Jeff from the US. Chris Hill is saying hello to Jeff from the US.
Hey, Duncan.
And yes, mate.
I actually got a good example of like where NFT like technology would be, handy, and maybe it will make like some people understand it a bit better.
Sure.
Let's just say an artist doesn't do traditional work like we do. Like you were talking before about how Trip works mostly digitally. So maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe Trip hasn't got original cover art, like physical cover art to sell. So what he could do is he could turn his digital file into an NFT and someone could buy that, and you could know that that digital file is actually Trip's work and it's come directly from him, as opposed to screenshotting it or saving it, from social media. And that way a collector could start collecting art from artists who solely work on a digital way. That's how you should. That's who it would probably benefit most. Solely digital artists.
Thank you for explaining that. Trip is madly taking notes, and that's a good explanation from an artist's perspective of the value for NFTs for the creators, and it goes some way to explaining it to collectors who are a bit hesitant around the NFTs, a bit unsure, and a lot of the conversation that I'm seeing online around NFTs it falls on both those sides. So like Trevor, I'm seeing the risk, and then the artist side of, but this is the way I work, and to me it is a way to give you the original, just like you do when you're asking for those pen and inks, like everyone is eagerly awaiting tonight. Looking at the pieces that the progress you're making on the pieces there, I think we're probably close to finalizing the stream part, so we'll probably move towards the draw, unless any of you artists want to object, because you're going to unfold the A3 and show us that it's actually a double page spread for a wraparound cover, and we're going to hear for another 2 hours. So if we start putting the finishing touches on there, acknowledging that Daniel's said that he wants to put a moon in the background there, which is really going to add depth to that piece of looking up at that powerful phantom. Jeffrey Frandecker from the US. Hello. Sorry I'm late. Even though Jermaine posted the time converter, it didn't account for user error. Welcome. We'll stretch out a little bit now to justify you being for more than 4 minutes after you've invested those funds, Jeff, and bothered to ensure that you joined us at what is probably an ungodly hour from your part of the US. Tom, to everyone on NFTs, you need a lawyer and a license agreement, which is sound advice from Tom. which he's returning to the group after we gave him some advice about frames in the humid tropical North Queensland. Trevor is saying, yes, I'm all on board now, because Camillo has taken the time to explain that. Who knew? You came for some pictures and you're getting an education about digital currency and crypto artwork. And Bradley is saying the same, need the physical copy in my hands. And Alex, who is the digital person that we're talking about, digital NFTs can have real life tangible assets like exclusive prints, etc. I've seen this online where someone will do a digital piece but release a limited number, just like they'll do an original piece of art and release numbered prints, and they'll release numbered printouts of the digital art. That question, we posed that question to the people doing the Cy Barry piece for the Phantom fans, eagerly awaiting what that's going to look like. The work hasn't been completed yet and it's still a way off. There's sizzle reels on the company's website, but they're about the process and that they've got Cy assigned to the project. Nothing leaking out yet about what that image will look like or what's going to be contained in it. And Trip, following up on the digital NFTs, as an artist that works a lot in digital. Also, a lot of my covers are original. Hint, hint. Check out Supanova and Trip's social medias if you're interested in any of the original art for his covers. They are popular and do get a lot of attention very quickly from talking to him. So make sure you stay primed for that. I'll just leave it. I'll give a bit of a last drinks, gentlemen, for questions in the chat before we start to turn towards doing the drawers. But I just wanted to quickly touch on with Jamie. You had the opportunity in the past to work with you've listed Marvel, Image, and DC legend Jim Lee as one of your key influences and inspirations. Mm-hmm. What was it like having the opportunity to have Jim ink your pencils?
When he inks it, I'll tell you. So basically on his Twitch stream, he gives away these things on different tiers, like if you subscribe and whatnot. I didn't actually win that, but one of the followers that does subscribe ended up winning it, and he actually gifted it to me. So Jim will be inking one of my pieces sometime this year on his live stream. And yeah, it's both exciting and also like I'm psyching myself out every time I excuse me, start a piece. You know, I psych myself out and I start it again, because you only get one shot at Jim Lee inking your pencils. So I've had Alex Sinclair color my stuff before, and I've had Scott Williams ink my stuff, but I haven't had Jim Lee ink it. So very much looking forward to that.
Literal kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
What a great problem to have, and couldn't be happier for you. Like, you really deserve to add that to your own personal collection.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to ask one last question, just giving the chat a chance to, before we wrap up, and giving the chat a chance to ask any last minute questions they want to. We've recently lost some greats in the comic art world, with George Perez passing away recently, and just before him, the great Neil Adams. He's professed in the past that Neil Adams professed that he made a conscious decision when he created his iconic covers, which he was well renowned for decades. He either chose an iconic image or a storytelling image, which brings us back to an earlier question from the chat. So he talks about either having a hero shot, which is something that's going to stand out, Superman's American flag behind him and an eagle on his wrist, nothing to do with the story, that's going to sell that comic because the kid walks in and goes, now that's Superman. Or a storytelling image. So something telling that's teasing the story within. When is that a key decision for you? I'm going to ask each of you that question. You've talked about what inspires you and how you are uninspired by the work within. Do you have a preference for hero image versus storytelling image, or is that not a black and white question? Jamie.
Sorry, mate. I've just lost camera here. I actually missed most of that question. I apologize.
So you're deciding on a composition, starting from scratch in terms of composition.
Yeah.
Is it a binary choice of hero image versus storytelling image, or are you trying to combine both of those things?
Both. So I'll usually, in the storytelling, I'll try and incorporate, if, for instance, it's the Phantom, we're trying to sell the Phantom. So it'll usually be some sort of hero shot. And then you try and incorporate some of the storytelling in the other aspects. That's what's good about the wraparound covers, because you can kind of incorporate a bit of information in a flow that doesn't necessarily have to be sequential, but it kind of tells or hints at the story. But I think the hero shot's quite important. I think thinking cinematically, like a poster is kind of the best way to go, in my opinion, anyway. Yeah.
Are you doing something sneaky with your artwork that you've turned your camera off?
No, I can't. Like, I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all right. And Camillo, either a commission shot or a cover shot or a pin-up, hero shot versus storytelling image, or are you trying to combine the two?
Well, I think it's funner to do a hero shot, but if I'm doing a cover, I think I want to try to combine the two somehow.
Cool. And I think we're seeing that in that piece you've created there. That piece is telling the story. Like, I want to know where the Phantom is and what's been going on, that he's in that rubble, and there's obviously a place of turmoil and conflict that he's in, and restoring some order to. Great image. And Pitchy, like, we've just seen examples of both of those, I think, from the sneak previews you've shown us. That is very much a storytelling image in that pirate ship. But could just as easily be a poster on itself in a print series or something like that. You try and do both, is what I see from you. But to me, it's always the story it tells. Even that one you've got there that you've pictured, there's a story behind that pose.
Yeah, I think I grew up in the 90s reading 90s comics, right? Like 90s Marvel, Image, and there was a lot of pinups, those pinup artists. I think Jamie's inspired by some of the same. And that's where, I took my inspiration from. But I think, more recently I've become, I started to shift a little bit. I wanted to maybe tell stories and not just do a pinup and heroic shot, but more of a storytelling piece to like add a theme to it. So these kind of things go through my mind now, where I think obviously right now you're staring at the pinup that I just did, but I think when it comes to doing new covers and pinups, I think I'm going to try and look forward to placing a scene inside my picture, as opposed to just the classic heroic person with their fists out.
And I'm hoping to see, as I'm sure a lot of the people here are, and the people listening for this getting played back later on, seeing more of those are coming out from you, and winning story of the cover of the year again. It's Trip, I know you're listening. Jamie, I know you're here. Camillo, you're all paying attention. The gauntlet's been thrown down by Pitchy. So we're going to go across to Jermaine, who's been patiently waiting in the background here, and we're going to put the screen over to him, have one last look at those pieces. We'll come back to say goodbye to our artists who donated their time and talent tonight, but have a quick look. Jamie, if you can hold up your piece there too.
It said host has disabled my chat, so I think Jerm got a bit, I don't know, annoyed at my piece.
And so one of those three images there. So we're going to throw to Jermaine, and he's going to bring up on the screen, and I think he's still going to let me talk, but we're going to use a random number generator. We're going to do 3 draws, okay? And if you win the first draw, you will win one of these pieces, and then your name will be taken out of the subsequent draw. So you've got more of a chance to win. That's a recap for Callum and Jeff, who joined us partway through. So if you bought a ticket, you're in the running. And the first one we're going to do a random number generator for is Jamie's piece. So Jamie's James Bond Thunderball inspired piece. Jermaine, let's look at this. Spin the wheel.
All right, thanks, mate. You can never comment again about me talking too long on podcast, Duncan. You are banned from doing that ever again. So on behalf of everyone at Chronicle Chamber, thank you basically for joining us. Thank you, Jamie, Camillo, and Vicky. Daniel, for basically giving us everything and helping and being with us and stuff. It's amazing. All right, so those who are who can see us, you should be able to see. I'll try and do it. So, all right, so we'll just quickly go over. So there was 20 of us. So we got Daniel, Jeff from the US, Bradley Peach, who didn't join us, but Swaroop from India, Paul Maloney, Thomas. I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name. Sorry, buddy. Robert Cheek, Trevor Clark, John Cookson, Trevor Cray, Thomas Brace, Chris Sherlock, Dan Fraser, Alex Tripp, Bradley Kelly, Joe Elu, Chris Hill, Sayu Abeya, also from India, Gary Horn and Sean Bassett. Big shout out to Sean. Hopefully he's still with us, and hopefully you get better as well soon. So they're them. As we said, we'll draw out the first one. It will appear here if you're looking at me or if you're on the podcast as well. So we'll now press the random name, and this is for Jamie's and Bradley Kelly. Congratulations, Bradley. That one is to you. So
Congrats, buddy.
So yeah, huge congratulations to Brad. I'm sure you'll be very happy with that. Duncan, are we going straight to the next one, or did you want to talk?
I'll just give you a second to take Bradley's name out of the list. Congratulations, Bradley, on picking up that fantastic Thunderball-inspired original piece from Jamie Johnson. The next one we will do is Camillo's amazing piece with the peace flag and the peace sign in the background. Whenever you're ready, Germ, and you've got it set up, spin the wheel again. Fingers crossed for everybody. No more whammies.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just go to this one. So we'll pick another name, and Bradley's name has been taken out. So we'll do that. We'll go start. There you go, Sean Bassett. I know you'll be very happy with that. Hopefully it will make your unfortunate little accident that you've experienced a little bit more sweeter. Sean has been a long time listener, a long time Patreon, and always supports us on the faffles and stuff like that as well. So
congrats.
Congratulations, Sean. That will go to a very good home, even for a Collingwood supporter.
Well done. Congratulations. Well, that then gets removed from the list, and we get ready for the next draw. Pin your screens to the pin-up image that's just been created in front of your eyes by Daniel Picciotto. That is the last one up for grabs. With Sean and Bradley out of the running, your chances have increased significantly. When Jermaine is ready, we're going to see who's going to win the last endurance prize for staying with us for this whole period there while these pieces got created in front of us. When you're ready.
Good luck, guys.
All right. So again, thank you, all the artists, and thank you for who watching us. So that means we have 18. Is that right? My maths. So we have 18 names left. So you have a 1 in 18 chance to pick up Daniel's piece. So good luck, everyone. And the winner is Thomas from Norway. Now this is the second one that he's just won. So congratulations, Thomas. I know you will enjoy that. So thank you for that. While I've got a chance to do a little bit of speaking, and with Duncan's having a good well-earned break, I will show everyone here first. This is the next piece that we were doing a faffle from. So this is a piece that came today. I haven't finished opening the parcels yet, but this will be the first one that will be donated. This is from Lennart Moberg, who is from Sweden. He's been on our podcast before. So this is another A3 piece, amazing piece here. It's the ink as well. He's done some, he did some postcards as well. And so this almost made it into one of his postcards as well. So I'll get some photos and some information, but just wanted to give everyone a bit of a heads up that this will be the next piece that will be going up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniel, Jamie, Camillo, and also Duncan for helping me out tonight as well.
Jam, can I just jump in for a sec?
Of course, my friend.
So for anyone that didn't win, I have these diptych prints that I will sign as an artist proof. I just ask that you pay the shipping for that. So if you're interested in that, just hit me up in DMs, and I'll ship that out to you as a consolation prize for just to say thanks for supporting the stream and obviously such a good cause.
Thank you, Jamie.
Amazing, Jamie. Worth the price of admission right there. Jim, thank you for doing that. I'm going to farewell our guests for all this quickly in a second. Just a quick congratulations to our 3 amazing winners, and the consolation prize that is anything but, that's been given there from Jamie as an amazing sign of generosity for a fantastic cause that you've all contributed to tonight. If you won one of the pieces this evening, email chroniclechamber@gmail.com to ensure they have the correct shipping details for you, and whether or not you want the piece inscribed to you before it gets sent from the artist to Chronicle Chamber, and they'll organise to get those pieces to you. I think most of those names, Jermaine will know the address for them anyway. But just a reminder, is the reason that we've all got together this evening is for the beneficiary of tonight's event, not only your entertainment and my opportunity to keep you as a captive audience. Unicef works with partners around the world to promote policies and expand access to services that protect all disadvantaged children. Working in over 190 countries and territories worldwide, focused on child protection, survival, and education. This is certainly a cause befitting the Phantom, a worthwhile beneficiary of this evening's event, and I'm sure you'll all agree that we have been blessed by the presence of the artists that have donated their time and talent tonight with these 3 amazing pieces of art. Further information on the programs funded by your donations, or to learn how you can contribute more, go to unicef.org.au or call 1300 884 233. So I just want to thank Camillo di Pietrantonio, Daniel Picciotto, and Jamie Johnson, the Young Buck trio, and thank you for your generous contribution. Thank the attendees for their support, endurance, and patience. Congratulate the lucky winners taking home these unique pieces of Phantom art that not only will look great, but will give you a sense of satisfaction, knowing that every time you look at it, you saw its creation and you contributed to those less fortunate. So Jermaine's already talked about the next FAFL art auction and / Unicef fundraising event that they've got coming up. This was a different format for the session, and you've all, by your participation and patience and generosity, made it a success. A special thank you to the Chronicle Chamber team of Dan, Jermaine, and Stephen for their work and support behind the scenes to make this event a reality, and for their continued efforts in support of Unicef. That's going to be all from me. I'm just going to go around quickly to the guests and say thank you individually to all of you. Camillo, thank you very much for giving us your time and your guidance tonight and educating everyone on NFTs. Did you want to say goodbye to the group?
Yeah, thanks to everyone. Goodbye. But more importantly, I just want to say, I know I haven't done much official Phantom work, so it's a real honor to be called up by you guys and to do something like this. And I always get a lot of support from all the Phantom fans, despite not having done much on the Phantom. So it really means a lot.
And if you've shown us anything tonight, it's that the Young Bucks deserve to be featured more on our Phantom products and comic books. Camillo, you can see more on him on his socials at InstaCamillo on Instagram. Instacam_illo, so InstaCamillo. Daniel Picciotto is at Picci8. Daniel, did you want to say goodbye to the group? Thank you very much for your time this evening and donating your talent and sharing your stories with us.
Thanks, Duncan. Yeah, thanks everyone. I know it's been a long night with 2 hours of streaming, but I appreciate everyone sticking by, joining for a good cause, and hopefully, look out for any new work. And I'm really easygoing, so if you hit me up on Instagram, let me know what you think of any new covers or any new work that you see. It'd be good to keep in touch.
Thanks, Pitchy. Well done tonight, and looking forward to seeing that new cover coming out in a Frew very, very soon. Jamie Johnson, Quick Draw 13 on Instagram, any socials. Thank you very much. Did you want to say a farewell to the group as the last Young Buck tonight?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's always a pleasure. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you in person, and some of you this is the first time. So thanks for sticking with us. I know it was a long evening. But yeah, I don't really have any Phantom coming up, but if you want to see more, maybe just tell Frew you want more covers or something. But I'll see you guys around at the shows, and come say hi, and happy Phantoming.
And before I throw back to Jermaine, in case he wants to do anything last, thank you, all of you, everyone who tuned in tonight, everyone who's listening later on in the podcast, and the 3 artists for the amazing work you've done tonight. Congratulations to the winners of the original artwork. Thank you to the Young Bucks for joining the sketch session. Happy Phantoming.
Awesome. Yep. So thank you, everyone. This will all be released on a podcast coming out in, I don't know, soon. So thank you for listening, watching. Some of us will be in Sydney, so it'll be great to catch up again. We've just put up a social media, we've just put up an article which has got a lot of the information about what's going to be happening in Supanova, as well as some fan gatherings and stuff like that. That should be hitting our social media tomorrow as well. So on behalf of everyone at Chronicle Chamber, thank you guys, thank you artists, Daniel, Jamie and Camillo and Duncan for helping out tonight. Until next time, happy Phantoming and stay safe.
Thanks, guys.
Bye all. Great to see you.